All right, hail Dicelings, gird your loins, because it's another week of Blades in the Dark. So you guys will recognize the faces here, but we're just going to do a quick intro for everybody, just to refresh. It's been a little while. We were intending for this to be an every other week type campaign, but I contracted the plague, and unfortunately Simon was not available to cure me, so I had to fight it off myself. So let's start with Jeff. If you want to introduce yourself, you can plug anything you want and your character.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Doty. I have a YouTube channel, Encounterbalance. Go ahead and check that out if you're interested. Have some games up there and more to come soon. I am playing Kent King, also known as Ronin. He is I'm blanking on the class, on the playbook, Spider. So he specializes in planning and kind of being the mastermind, tactician-y kind of person.
All right, perfect. And Nelson?
Yes, I am Nelson. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, DriveThruRPG, and now Twitch, all under Infinite Roleplay. I've been doing art streams practically every day at 10 a.m., and I am the writer, illustrator, and designer of Saturday Morning Tabletop, an RPG system I designed for really wacky, wonky, and totally overpowered fantasy gaming. And I'll be playing Slate Cartwright, which, I mean, is his alias, kinda, sorta. Really, it actually is his alias. And the real name is Milton Ramsey. He's a whisper who's very upstanding young individual.
All right, and Lewis?
Hi, I'm Lewis. I sometimes play RPGs online with Chris. That's it.
That is very true. There is one thing that I generally want to plug. As anybody who's been following me for a while, you guys know that I work with Point of Inspiration, our kind of sister company, which is called Absolute Tabletop, has recently launched a Kickstarter, their first one. It is fully funded, so if you want a Kickstarter you can count on, these guys are fully prepared, fully funded, and really excited to get the project out. It's called Oath of the Frozen King. I've ran it a couple times on the channel, reskinned for other types of adventures, and it is well worth any sort of contribution that you have for those guys. Make sure you check them out. But aside from that, how's everybody's week going? I don't know if you guys saw, but Marvel just put out the trailer for The Defenders. Anybody catch that today?
I have not seen it.
I did not see that.
See, you guys are behind the times. I saw that, and then I saw the trailer for Dark Tower, which I was kind of excited about, and then I found out it's a sequel, so I don't know how to feel about that.
I play Simon.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, we didn't introduce Simon. Yeah. What else has been going on for you guys? I know that Nelson, you were saying that you've been doing the art streaming and stuff like that lately.
Yeah, I recently started streaming on Twitch. I've been drawing my comic, which is based in the Saturday Morning Tabletop world, which is called Smashfall. I started working with a writer on a comic called Just Angie. I did the sketches on the first page of that, as well as just all other manner of drawings on the Twitch TV channel.
Very cool.
That, and I think you already know I'm working on developing a martial artist class, mecha combat, and mounted combat for SMGT as well.
I don't know why, but whenever I think of like mecha combat for like a fantasy game, instead of it being like a traditional mech, I just imagine a gnome with like a bunch of barrels that have been strapped together and like a crossbow mounted on his shoulder. Just complete nonsense that doesn't seem like it should work.
I mean, I got it. No, the idea for the mecha combat is that they build these things are called golem armor. And in the world, they have mecha, a robot race called caretakers. Mm-hmm. The golem armor is their predecessors, the ones that don't have sentience, but kind of work. So it's like these giant, stupid, bulky. You know what? I'll just show you, man. What the hell? If I can find it. I don't know how to show you. This is not Hangouts. I can't screen share.
I was going to say, I'm not sure how Skype does screen share. If it's on a link, I could share it across the stream, though.
Ah, yeah. That would be smart. Oh. Yeah, I actually posted it up on Facebook. Give me a second. I always have like a half a dozen windows open at the same time. Ignore me. I don't know what I'm doing now.
Well, I got this thing in the mail today.
I know, I'm jealous.
Nice.
I bought mine with the backer kits, so I think that I'm going to be part of the second wave of people, because I didn't buy it with the initial Kickstart, so...
Started this thing in like 2014 or earlier. Finally got the book.
I was talking to my wife, she's like, why are you so excited about the book? I'm like, because I've been waiting 3 years.
It cost $25. 3 years ago.
Yeah, I did the digital rewards and then did the backer kit to get my physical copy. It looks like it's definitely worth it. I'm really glad that Evil Hat kind of stepped in and sent it to the right printers and stuff, because they did really good on Fate too.
It is a well-bound book. It's beautiful. I think you can buy these now, probably, if you are interested in playing the game we play.
I think they are available now. I'm not sure. I think it might still be through the backer process. Let me do this real quick.
And if you want to drop bank on it, you can get the deluxe edition.
I mean, if the book's available for the solid book, I'll get it. And I was talking with Chris. Oh yeah, that's how a sort of golem armor looks.
It's beautiful.
Nice.
Ready to stab something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Going to town.
Yeah, I was just actually looking through your artwork the other day, and I thought that a lot of it's come along really well in the last couple of years, as far as like finding your style and getting that tuned down to like a specific way that really works well. And a lot of that is just from writing Saturday morning tabletop. So that's really cool that you were able to find a way to be able to mesh kind of two of your favorite things.
That's the magic of RPGs.
All right, guys, I don't know about you, but I think it might be crime time. Everybody ready?
Let's do it.
I'm ready to invent.
All right, so last time on Blades in the Dark, the group, unknown assailants that they are, have decided to take a job from a mysterious woman, Seltha Templeton, who was posing as Ruby. Her family owns a few holdings, if you will, inside Leviathan hunter ships, and something that was very interesting that Ronan was able to find out during the conversation is they may be developing a new piece of technology, the Siren Horn, something that allows them to basically pull the Leviathans to them. So instead of having to go out and hunt the Leviathans, they could draw them into traps, and this kind of technology could very well change how the oil is harvested and, frankly, how the world works. But that's for another time. For now, you guys have gathered, and with the information that you have, you've learned that their location is not very far from you. This group that seems to be plotting against her family. When we last talked about it, you guys were thinking about different types of ways that you'd go into it. Since this is our second game, I'm still going to be a little handsy on the rules, and we'll kind of get things as they go. The first thing I want to do, however, is talk to Simon about the recorder, because we need to establish the invention. So there's a couple questions that go with it. If you are following along inside your home books, now that they've got that, I believe it's page 224 unless they changed it.
It is page 24.
There are creation questions. So the GM's first going to ask, what type of creation is it and what does it do? We already kind of established that it's a recorder. I'm imagining it being kind of something that you could slip into your pocket, maybe even smaller than that. What did you have in mind?
I was thinking like a two-piece thing. So a small etching machine that listens,
Mhm.
and on like a wax cylinder, just spinning around it.
Yeah, that's kind of how what I was thinking too. Because
Binary code, but
yeah,
like
that's
old binary code.
that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking too. Is like it's a wax cylinder device. It could be tampered with if it wasn't recovered, but it's small, like probably about the size of your hand or smaller.
And it is Sparkcraft in nature.
Okay. So your next question for me would be, what is the minimum quality of this item? Um, let's see here. Looking at the magnitude rules. Let me find that chart real quick. Okay. So on the magnitude chart, I'm actually going to go down it instead of giving you just a solid number and letting you kind of figure things out. I think it has a pretty good area, or rather, an area. It could record what goes on in a small room. And because it's a wax cylinder, it should have a duration on it. I'll let you make the call on what exactly you want to shoot for. I'm thinking that it's an hour to a few hours. What sounds better for you?
I like the idea of it being about 2 hours maximum.
Okay. So right now we're looking at a total of 4. And tier quality force. Let's see. I don't think any of those really apply. So really it's going to be a 4.
How dangerous is this wax cylinder?
Hold on a sec.
So it's a pretty dangerous thing.
Sorry about that. All right, so a 4. Let's take a look at it here. So my next question for you is, what rare, strange, or adverse aspect of this formula or design has kept it in obscurity, or out of common use?
I think a big part of it is probably it's not very useful in everyday life. It's a curio at the most, unless you're some weird group of people that wants to steal secrets. And I think the wax cylinders are hard to get your hands on and maintain for people who don't run under a candle shop.
Yeah, I like that. And I want to take it a step further. The wax cylinders, I forget what the stuff is called, but sperm whales inside their head, they have a wax that was used to make... Yes. Not ambergris, but it's a different stuff. It's actually in their head. It's believed that it might affect buoyancy. But essentially when whales were being harvested for oils and things like that, the oil inside their head is what actually would make wax candles. They give off kind of a very specific color of light, and that's what measures lumens, actually, which is kind of a weird fact. But I'm thinking... Yes, spermacete. I'm thinking it's the Leviathan version of that. Like it's a special wax that actually comes from leviathans. It's not super useful, so it's actually fairly easy for you to get your hands on. But if you were to use like candle wax, it's just not enough. It won't work right. Okay.
I believe I ask next.
Yep.
What drawbacks does this item have, if any?
I think the obvious drawback is, while the Leviathan spermacite might be easier to get your hands on, you actually have to have it to be able to make cylinders. It's going to have like a limited amount of cylinders, and you physically have to change the cylinders whenever. So if you use it as a bug for a place, it's only going to last a couple hours, and you're going to have to go change that cylinder if you want it to last longer.
And it has a companion piece that's an... So this is the audio graph. That would be the audio phone.
Yes, you also have an audio phone that'll be able to read the cylinders once they've been forged. The good news, I think, is if you wanted to, you could so long as the cylinder wasn't harmed after being made, you could probably repurpose and reuse that cylinder if you were to like flatten it out and reshape the cylinder.
Like melt
As a
it
perk.
down, then recast it.
Exactly. I mean, you'd lose what was on there and not be able to access it again, but it at least saves you from having to go hunt down Leviathan wax. Excuse me.
All right.
So the PC with Alchemist, Artificer, or Strange Method special ability invents and learns one formula when they take the ability, which we've already talked about.
It's this.
Blah, blah. So there is a Tinker roll, which is determine the quality level of the item produced. Base quality is equal to the crew's tier, modified by the result of the roll.
All right.
So you get 1 die for each dot in Tinker. You can also spend 1 coin to increase the quality once we've determined what the base is. And you also get a +1 quality for having a workshop, which I believe the crew does have. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Perfect.
So I roll Tinker. I'm just going to assume it's risky standard for the fact that there's.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that it is. Actually, it's really a fortune roll. You can put in risky standard, but we'll kind of ignore the rest of it.
I get a bonus die for having it be a Sparkcraft item, seeing as I am an artificer, and I get no other bonus dice, right? For our tier and the workshop. The workshop is just straight quality.
The workshop adds quality to the end, but someone else in the group can push themselves to help you.
If anyone wants to assist, I'm
Or
open
you can
to
push
it.
yourself as well. I don't really have a good devil's bargain for this, so I'm not going to offer one. However, if the group has one that they think works well, you guys can offer to each other as well.
I have an idea.
I'll hear it.
The asking around for the parts and the component pieces piques interest in it, and somebody else starts working on their own version.
I don't want to be that specific if we go with it. Instead, I would like it to be something like when you go to get replacement Leviathan spermicide, which will come up with its own term. That way I don't have to keep saying it like that. Leviacite. When you go to find Leviacite, it draws interest. And that's all I'm going to say. Like, that way it can be used for something else besides someone else just creating an invention. If someone was investigating you and they knew that you were using that device, it could be used to find where your base is, since you have a hidden base. Stuff like that.
Nope, I don't want to expose us like that.
Okay.
Would anyone like to help? Otherwise, I'll roll with just the free bonus die.
I mean, as much as I would like to help, I don't know that I would have the technical expertise required to help. So I don't really see a way that I can fit that one in there.
You're a master of acquiring things.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you could do it as like you acquired better or like materials when he gave you a shopping list or something like that, or I should say she.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. I'll say that, yeah, I have my contacts that I have, my spider network that I built up.
Right.
You knew what you needed to get, and I was able to assist you with that.
Let's rock and roll. I don't know what that is yet. Go to chat. That's a 6.
That it is. All right. So with a 6, you accomplish it. There is no drawback. So once the device is made, I want to say that, like I said, it's about the size of your palm. It's small enough that you could hide it, but it's going to be a little difficult to hide when you go to do it. But all in all, the whole process goes fairly well. You can reproduce these things if necessary. And let me just screen capture our player chat over here. That way anybody watching can take advantage of seeing what the roles are and kind of how the game plays out.
It's a 1, a 6, a 2, and a 1 and a 2.
You got that 6 though.
Got that 6 now.
All right, yes, it is 1 stress to help someone else, but 2 stress to push yourself.
All right.
I'm gonna save my my foresight and take a stress.
Okay.
Quality level is tier +1, so that's 1.
Tier +1, but remember, you get to go up an additional 1 because you have the workshop, so you're actually going to be tier +2. So it's actually a tier 2 item.
I'll spend my 2 personal coin to make it quality 4 to make it work.
Okay.
Because it has to be quality 4 to work at all.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
All right.
All right, perfect. So a little bit of finagling and a little bit more expense than you were originally planning. You guys are able to get this thing up and running. Simon, as you approach towards the end of the project, you kind of start to realize everything that's going into it. The wax is very expensive. Getting the right type of needles to be able to record and basically being able to register. The 2 coin, once you're done, it feels like that was a fair deal. Like you got off pretty well. For the rest of the group, however, the 2 coin expenditure might seem a little extreme.
It's perfect. It works fine. It's all out of my pocket. We can do this. It'll be fine.
So you spent it out of your pocket, right?
Yeah, I spent that out of my pocket.
So you got some smaller pockets now, right?
I am broke.
My pocket's still heavy though, right? My pockets feel heavy. I think I'm okay with that.
All right, so Miss Ruby there did give you guys a location of the people that have been attempting to sabotage her family, the Templeton shipping company. You guys have pretty much everything ready to go. If you want, we can jump into the mission, or we can do a little bit of planning up front. The way Blades of the Dark works is planning should be a minimum because we want to get to the action. And because you guys have the flashback mechanic, you guys can always flashback and be like, no, we planned for that. It may cost you a little bit of stress, though. So if you want to do something that is a little bit more elaborate, this would be the time to talk about that sort of thing. So as far as the types of missions that are available for you is you can think about it as like, what is the game plan going into it? You could use an assault, a deception, a stealth, an occult, social, or transport to get this done. The whole thing that you need to do is to be able to identify these people for her. She said that she's got a cleanup crew that will take care of it. You just need to find some evidence. So what do you guys think is going to be the best way to take care of this group?
I got a dumb idea.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
It was just for once the crew has been identified. Like, I don't know exactly how many individuals we're going on. Is it separate individuals within a ship or not? But being that we're kind of candle wax people, like everything we're doing right now revolves around wax, right? So like we can identify them and mark them with like specific colored wax.
We place a candle.
So like bringing kind of semi-cooled wax and basically like rubbing it on their back or something to mark them.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, you're not Tony. Oh, I am so sorry. You know, I thought, like one of those.
I think that would be a deception plan if you wanted to go with something like that.
What do you guys think?
It's not quite as subtle as I was hoping, to be quite honest. Colored wax, while it is easy for us to see, it's also easy for literally anybody else to see.
But no one else knows what's going on.
But that's not the point though. Like, even if they don't know that wax is an identifier, someone could just be like, "Hey, dude, you have your shirt's like totally stained with blue wax." And like, "Oh, oops, let me change." Plan ruined. Like,
Yeah, but no, that's only if we that's only for identifying these guys for the next team. But we need to get their faces and names. Really, we could just pass that on after the fact.
Yeah.
Mine was just a silly idea I wanted to share with you guys.
Since you guys are more
don't
interested
get me wrong,
in
I like the
acquiring-
creativity, but
Since you guys are more interested in acquiring some sort of proof and then a list of names / descriptions, if nothing else, stealth is probably the most obvious choice. You could do like surveillance on the place. You could go social if you figure out who they are and move in to try and find a way in. Basically, once we do the roll to determine basically how the start of this this plan goes, that will determine how much information you guys kind of have going into the situation.
Yeah, I think stealth is probably our ticket.
probably the best bet. Yeah, I mean, I could see for me social being an option, but that might get a little dicey for
Sway.
for some of our other companions here.
What are you
stealth is-
talking about? I'm a likable person.
Okay, so
Rule
stealth
number
is
two-
probably the best
how to
bet.
lie. Rule number 3 was learn how to lie. Lesson number 3.
once you pick out a plan, you guys decide on a detail to the plan, and that's what we roll to find out for. For a stealth mission, the detail is the point of infiltration. You guys make it down to these warehouses that are just kind of like not too far from where you actually are. There's a couple ways that you could go in. Looking it over, what is the way that you guys want to come in? And I'm going to give you a lot of free range on this. Basically, think of it like a warehouse that has kind of the big bay doors on one side, a couple of smaller doors on the sides, some windows. So if you guys have something in mind, it's fairly close to other buildings, so you could jump across and come in through the top or come in through the bottom. Just give me kind of a vague idea of what you want to do.
I'm a roof man.
Yeah, I'll be honest. My first thought was coming in from the top too.
I like roofs.
Okay. So, the point of infiltration is going to be the roof access, kind of a smoking deck that's on top of this warehouse here. Next, you guys are going to pick your item loadout. You don't have to pick items right now, but you basically say if you are light, medium, or heavy loaded. Heavy loaded is the one that is very obvious. People will know that you're on an operation. Medium means that you're kind of a shady character, but you guys are operating with other criminals, so that's not terribly uncommon. And light is if the cops are around, they won't suspect you of anything.
So there's something we have to decide. What is the load of the audiograph?
I think the autograph is a negligible item
Okay.
because of its size. I don't think it really takes up much.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say we each get our own individual load, right?
Correct.
That we each pick.
Correct. And if you have any items on your sheet that are italicized, those don't actually take up load slots for you. So if you want to look that over and think, okay, these are all my italicized ones, I probably only need armor and a weapon after that list, you can kind of do the math and figure out about how much that would actually end up being.
Is there a way to add italicized items to gameplay, like eventually, or?
Not in the game per se. However, we could do like acquire asset to get you guys better things, or maybe Simon can build a pistol that could be more easily hidden, meaning it becomes an italicized pistol.
I basically just built one.
Yeah.
That is of 0 load.
Yeah, I would allow that, mainly because you guys have a crafter in the group. I would rather you guys go about either acquiring rare, exotic, like magic item type things, or you craft it because you guys happen to have that ability.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that Ronin for this and probably for basically almost everything we'll do is going to be light.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at a light load myself.
I think stealth is important here, so light makes sense.
Okay, perfect. And next we're going to do the engagement roll. The engagement roll is going to be done by one person in the group, but there's a couple questions that come with it to determine how big the dice pool is. So once we've chosen the plan and the detail, we cut immediately to the action. So you guys have basically come across, and you are on the adjacent building looking across at the access point. The infiltration point that you decided on was to go across the roof and through one of the roof access doors. Where you guys are starting, you can see that the door is cracked slightly open, meaning that somebody's probably been through here recently. We're going to go ahead and do the roll now, which is... The first question is this operation particularly bold or daring? And that's a question for the whole group to be able to answer. Do you guys think that this is? I would say that it is, because you guys are going roof to roof. A mistake means falling off the roofs and possibly injuring yourselves, drawing a lot of attention. What do you guys think?
I think it is.
Okay.
It's definitely not in our usual wheelhouse to be jumping roof for roof.
Okay.
I'd call it.
Yeah.
The next question is the operation particularly complex or contingent on many factors? I don't think it is. You guys have a pretty straightforward plan to go in, find something that proves what you're looking for, and get some descriptions of them. It's pretty straightforward, and I don't think there's a lot of risk factors at the moment. So you guys have one die. Let's see. Does the plan expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? So this is something that you guys won't really know the answer to. I typically fill in this one, and I'm going to say yes, because they're expecting people to come from the ground level, not the roof. Let's see here. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defense or social preparations? They do. So that's going to drop one die. Let's see. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for the operation? And this is a question for you guys. You can look over your contacts, including the crew's contact, and see if there's anybody that might have been able to provide you guys some information. We can do a little scene around that. Looking at the crew, you have Roland Valaris, who is the bartender at the Vale. Actually, he might be useful unless you guys think of somebody else that could be more useful.
These guys are Leviathan hunters, right?
You're not really sure who they are. You know that they're targeting Leviathan hunters.
Because I have Jewel, the blood dealer, as my friend.
Okay.
And
that's another person that could be helpful.
If they have something to do with Leviathan hunters, he has a direct connection to that world.
Mm-hmm.
If someone else has a better idea, though, go for it.
I mean, mine kind of depends, because my my ally is Jaren, the Blue Coat Archivist, so that would kind of just depend if these guys are on any sort of criminal record that would have already been flagged for some reason. Maybe that could provide insight, but otherwise that would be a ghost lead. So
yeah,
that would kind of be up to you.
Unfortunately, with
Chris.
the information you're starting with, there's just not enough for Jaren to work with.
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay. So, which way would you guys like to take it? Do you want to consult the bartender or consult the blood dealer?
I think the blood dealer would have more rumors, right?
He'd be closer in with the business directly.
All
Yeah.
right, Jewel is.
So, what was the character, or what was the blood dealer's name?
Jewel, Jul.
Okay. So, you go to see Jewel and kind of explain the situation. Jewel's... What do you have in mind for Jewel? Who's this NPC?
I think Jewel is male. Jewel used to work on a Leviathan hunter ship in his 20s, but he got injured really, really badly. I think he doesn't have a left leg.
Yeah, I think that
Anymore?
sounds good.
He's in a wheelchair, but he knows people,
Mm-hmm.
and he has like old relationships, and he supplies a lot of the underworld that I know of with fuel, both for their drug addictions and for machines.
Okay, yeah,
Is it a-
I like that. Jewel is also, I picture him as kind of like hunched over, and his hair is kind of like, always like it's almost wet from the sea, even though he doesn't appear to be wet. Like it's just kind of like spindly and slick all the time. And you go see Jewel. Hey, hey Simon, what can I do
Hello?
for you?
Gotta get back into the voice. Well, I've been looking into some people who run a warehouse. They've been targeting some of the old hunters. If you hear anything about that, just I appreciate any information you might have about them.
Well, you know how old Jewel works. And
Well, you can't have people threatening your supply, can you?
Jewel kind of takes his one like really like good arm at this point, and he leans over and he reaches underneath the seat of his wheelchair and he pulls out some paperwork, and he's got it folded up and he holds it just close enough to his chest that you know that he's basically indicating that he has something, but you haven't quite given him interest enough to give it to you. If you want, we could do an acquire asset roll, because he does have something actually of value for you.
Jewel, if they're targeting Leviathan hunters, and they say reduce the income of blood into the city, then there's not going to be much excess left over for the old crew to shunt you away. And if there's not much excess left over for you, then that means there's nothing for your buyers. And well, we both know how important painkillers are these days. I'm asking if I can help you solve an incoming problem.
He kind of nods to you. It sounds like you're trying to sway him.
I have a dot in sway. Let's roll sway. And position?
This is going to be controlled and a standard effect. You have a pretty good relationship with Jewel, and actually because you're working with Jewel, Jewel's actually going to give you a bonus die anyways, because he's your contact.
All right.
All right, so with a 3, there is going to be some cost. Normally, this would be basically, let me just pull it up real quick here.
3 is failure. Pretty sure.
In a controlled situation, it's a little bit different. I believe you can reapproach the target, or you lose it, or basically you can reevaluate the situation, adjust what you're doing, or you can choose to walk away. Yeah, Jewel just kind of laughs, and you can also spend a coin to raise the result, but I know that you don't have any personally, so it would be from the coffers, or if one of the others wanted to give you a coin to make sure that you got the information, that could be possible too.
It's entirely up to them.
So we're there, right?
That would be up to you guys. I think it makes sense for all of you to be there, because you guys are on mission now at this point.
Fuck it. You know what? So, Slate hearing this, he's like, yeah, it'll hurt your business. You don't want to hurt your business. And I guess he's kind of like being real, like, just putting down sacks of coins and like, sliding over some goods that he might have been acquiring, hiding God knows where, across the floor. Business, right?
Okay.
Like.
So yeah, you slide over a couple of valuable items, and one of them inside your coins and things that you hand over to him, because a lot of underworld trade is also in like physical objects, is this vase that has some different runes and stuff on it, and he picks it up and he kind of rotates it around and looks at it, and then he becomes very interested in the vase, and he just hands you guys the notes, and like as you think maybe I could pick up my coin since he's so distracted, he sticks out that one kind of gimpy arm, and he just kind of like scoops over the rest of it to his lap, but continues to go over the vase, and he goes, "Hopefully that'll help you. Don't be strangers."
There's like physical pain on Simon's face as like, oh, but I got that from, oh, that was, because that, like, at one point, sometime in the far past, she bought it as like, oh, this could be a magical thing. It's covered in runes, and it's just been sitting in the shop.
Yeah, what he does is he gives you a list, and on this list there's actually a couple names that stand out. Let me pull up my name generator here.
I think while we're walking away from that, Slate is just looking at Simon like, look what you made me do.
And she definitely paid way more for it than it was worth.
I mean, that's up to you guys. I can tell you that Karstos, Pharos. There's going to be 5 names. I'm just writing down some real quick here.
So are these like full dossiers, like a pile of dossiers, or just like one sheet?
It's
like
like
5
one
names.
sheet, but the names are the interesting part, because it's a list of 5 names that that all stand out for you. Mitcher.
So our crew's pockets is light. Oh, we gotta do it big, you know.
The names that you get there, there's 5 on the list, and there are a couple that stand out to you. Let me just mark them real quick because they are nobles. You have Orlin Hellas, who you know of. He's a merchant that deals in legitimate business in White Crown. He sells some of the goods that come from different countries, specifically Severos. Another is a female, Naria Karstas, rather. Naria Karstas. She is, for lack of a better term, a debutante. She is a young woman that has far too much money, or at least access to money. She spends most of her time drinking, going out and socializing. Ronan, you've actually had a couple encounters with her. She's very sharp, and she seems to make a hobby of collecting secrets. She doesn't seem to have any real plan for it. She just enjoys the fact that she can hold things over people. The third one that you see is Stev Pharos. Stev is one of the Leviathan hunter. He's not a captain just yet, but he's been rumored to be kind of next up on the list. He's been working really hard on the ship called Despair. And on the Despair, during their last hunt, they received a rather large haul, and that's what's caused them to consider that that Commander Stev Pharos should be promoted to captain. The other 2 are names that you don't recognize. One is Talker Slane. The last name Slane you recognize as kind of a middle kind of economy type name. There's a couple people in town that have that name, but it's not tied to nobility. But Talker feels like it's an alias. Simon, you're probably the only one that has a good grasp on this kind of alias. Talker is a name that a lot of people inside your specialty would look at. Something like Talker, Ticker, things that sound kind of mechanical in nature. And the last one is Zamira Mitcher, which is a female. And the name Zamira stands out to you as Aruvian. But the last name Mitcher you can't quite put your finger on.
This Talker guy is he's a maker of some sort. It's the kind of alias that's common. I don't know about Zamira, though.
I imagine this conversation is happening kind of whispered on the rooftop before you cross over. This will garner you the extra bonus die, so you guys are at 2. Enemies and rivals interfering with the operation. Let me look at your list, but I don't think so. Yeah, you guys are good.
I have an apothecary that hates me.
Are there any other elements that you want to consider? Maybe tier, which is not really a problem. These guys are tier 1 that you're against, so actually it will change that a little bit. It will take away 1 die. So your total for the fortune roll for the mission is 1 die.
Oh.
You can push yourself on a roll for the engagement if you want, but that means that you're going to be going into the situation 2 stress less for whoever makes that roll.
Who wants to roll?
I just got back.
We've got 1 die for our engagement.
We got 1 die.
For
engagement
roll.
Oh, let's see how good we where you start off, right?
Yes.
I mean, why people hesitating? Yeah, I'll join in.
Yeah, well, we need to decide if the person doing the roll is gonna push themselves or not to get another die.
Yeah, you can push yourself on the engagement roll, so whoever decides to do the engagement roll, that is an option, but you will start the adventure or the operation down 2 stress. So keep that in mind.
I'm already 2 stressed down.
I'm 3 stressed in.
I was going to say, once your stress bar fills up, you gain a trauma and you're out of the action for that scene. It's not necessarily a bad thing because eventually you gain experience for having traumas, but just something to keep in mind.
So what are we rolling for the engagement roll? What?
The
It's a fortune
option on your character
Oh,
sheet.
it's the fortune.
You click that, and then it will ask you how many dice. It's going to be 1 right now, unless you choose to push yourself. Then it will become 2. Oh, wait, hold on. You guys actually have a additional one because you're on your hunting grounds and you are conducting an espionage mission.
2 dice.
So
2
you have 2.
dice.
Let's go.
Who's rolling? I'll roll. I'll push myself. I don't care.
Okay, so it
do
sounds
it.
like
No.
Slate's pushing it, or gonna
No,
take over.
I'll do the roll and I'll push myself since I have the least stress right now.
Okay, then Ronan.
One quick question: where's the fortune? Oh, there it is. Roll fortune.
So
And
if
we,
you push
so we're gonna have
yourself,
3?
It'll ask you for the ties total. It'll be 3 now. I forgot. I purposely started you guys on your turf for the first mission.
Oh, do we need any notes?
No. You could put engagement roll there if you wanted to.
Ooh, 5.
All
Yeah,
right,
5.
perfect. So with a 5, it is what's called a mixed result. You're in a risky position when the action starts. So you guys have leaped across the roof, and Slate, you are a whisper by profession, correct?
Yes.
As you get across, there's kind of this weird sensation that goes over you, and you know that that means that someone is manipulating the ether out there. It could be something as simple as like a Sparkright's cabling has come loose, and there's just like sparks of electricity nearby, or it could be somebody like actually channeling whisper abilities in the area, but you can kind of feel that metallic tang in your mouth that you get when you're close to it. If you'd like, go ahead and do a tune roll, if you would.
Most definitely. So what's the position?
The position for this is going to be risky.
Okay, and effect?
Standard.
Alright. No bonus die. 6 and a 2.
All right. So the sensation that you get, you kind of extend your consciousness out and you feel the scene around you. What does it look like when Slate actually activates and attunes his abilities?
I think the first thing he'll probably see is like the synapses of living beings. You know, like that's the first thing that he attunes to, and then as it grows a little bit larger, he can start seeing like souls as very foggy forms before they, they start to form into a little bit more detailed versions. He can see like the electricity running through these spark wire things, and flow with it, almost feeling it like his heart, his pulse is, every time his heart beats, it clarifies his vision when he's using this vision.
Okay. So looking out, you see a couple things that it takes a little while for them to take shape really in your mind. They start off as these kind of glowing piles of garbage on the roof, and you can see that there's something with the door, and as you begin to kind of concentrate and absorb the information as it's coming to you, you notice that the door has been attuned to, and there's a whisper that if that door is moved in a certain way, basically moved carelessly, it will set off an alarm to that whisper. They'll get a mental notification of it. But you can see that there's these 2 tendrils that come from the doorway of like arcane energy that go to these 2 garbage piles that you see on the roof. And it takes you a little while to think about it, but then you suddenly realize that these are familiars. There's at least 2 whispers, because any whisper can only have 1 familiar within the building that are trying to protect this entryway with some sort of attuning. Because this is a kind of a risky start, you're going to make this realization as Simon gets like kind of in between the 2 garbage piles, and as you start to say something, the garbage piles start to form up into these about waist high kind of gorilla looking things.
It's like, hey, no! Oh,
What? Oh no.
All right. So I think, Simon, you're going to be the first one who can really react to it, because Slate's just kind of processing, but it's happening to you. You see these 2 like almost miniature gorillas made of like garbage and broken pallets form up, and remember how I said this is kind of like the smoke area? There's like 2 cigarettes for eyes that are just burning and staring you down.
All right. I think Simon immediately just reaches to her chest and pulls off a small little vial and backs up, drawing them out towards her, hopefully.
Okay. let me take a look here. So if you wanted to like taunt them out, you could do so with a command roll, and we could do it as like your physical presence, trying to draw them towards you.
She's just backing up.
Okay. Slate, looking at it, you can see that these two little familiars, they can be activated without the door being opened, but they are kind of tied to the door system. So if these familiars fall, it will alert the whispers that the familiars have fallen, even if the door doesn't open.
I let my party know. Look, don't mess with those things, okay? There's something. There's a little bit more going on over here. Don't chill out.
Chill out.
She
hooks it back.
As you hold your vial, the two like small familiars kind of stand their ground, but they don't go more than about 4 feet from the door.
Is there, like, if I delve into this sort of spirit realm, right? Could I create a like localized interference?
Yeah, you could absolutely do something like sever the ties to their whispers, so that if you take care of the familiars, they wouldn't be notified that the familiars were destroyed.
I think I want to try to do that.
Okay.
So that would be a tune, right?
Yes.
So I think the way Slate's gonna start, he's gonna like spit in his hands, reach into his little duster, take out the mask, and just put it on his head, which looks like it's a fine spirit mask, but it looks like one of those, like a cross between Eyes Wide Shut and like a normal plague doctor's mask.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna have to push myself for this to make sure. So I'll mark down those 2 stress. Position.
This is going to be a desperate. Familiars are intimately tied to their whispers.
Okay. Desperate is the ones that I get experience for, right?
Correct. You will get experience regardless of the roll.
All right. And effect?
And the effect is going to be standard. There's no real way to limit like how you cut off the connection. It's either there or it's not.
Okay. No. Oh yeah, I get 1 bonus die because I pushed myself. So 5, a 6, and a 1.
Perfect. So the 6 is you are able to do it. There's not going to be any sort of backfiring or problems with it. You cut the tie, and this is just one familiar. A critical would have netted you both of them. But the one to the left, you can see the coals in its eyes kind of dim as it becomes this like unintelligent Deathlands creature again. And it kind of starts scouring the roof, looking for things that are alive. You can tell it's more feral. It's not controlled. Ronan, it starts to approach you, and it gives kind of this long swipe of its kind of gorilla-like arm. When it comes in, it's going to do. Let me just double check here real quick. It will cause level 2 harm to you unless you want to do something about that, which you can use your armor to roll it down, or you can resist it. As far as resisting goes, you could choose to use like your prowess, insight, or resolve. Prowess makes the most sense, kind of jumping out of the way. I feel like if you make your prowess check, it's going to be no damage because you're literally jumping out of his swipe.
Yeah, he definitely would be trying to avoid the damage here. So is it just straight prowess, or am I picking like one of the specific?
It's just the prowess option right there.
Okay. Bonus dice, I'm guessing 0.
0 unless you do something to change that.
This is just reducing the stress you're going to take from resisting, though.
Yeah.
The pushing yourself is kind of redundant.
Yeah, I wouldn't push yourself on a resistance roll.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a resistance roll to ignore all harm, sometimes it's worth it, but not really.
That is a 4 and a 3.
Okay. So the way that resistance works is you take an amount of stress that is 6 minus the highest number. So you're going to take 2 stress.
As Ronan dodges away from this thing, Simon's gonna
there's furrowed claw marks inside your chest. It doesn't quite scrape through your armor, but it doesn't do enough to actually really do too much to you. Simon, go ahead.
Simon's gonna go down 2 vials on the bandolier to the bottom one and unclick it and toss it at the thing's feet. Oh wait, I have to make sure I actually have this. Yes, I do. This is called binding oil, and it permanently fuses 2 surfaces until dissolved by alkahest or electroplasm.
Okay.
But I believe I have a consequence.
Yes, usually there's a consequence with any of the alchemical goods.
Oils. I don't see a drawback under oils.
I think it's the oil group itself. Hold on a second.
Because bombs have drawback conspicuous. Drugs have drawback volatile. For woozy, level 1 harm. Poisons give you sickened, which is also a level 1 harm.
Right.
Potions attract the attention of spirit wardens. But the oils don't seem to have one.
What page is that?
226.
Yeah, it looks like they don't.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like oils are kind of the safe one to use.
That makes sense. But basically glue bombed this thing to the floor, ideally. Would you like me to roll something for that?
Yes. There's going to be an action roll still, which... Are you
Which
getting
one did-
close, or are you throwing it at it?
I'm giving it a chuck.
Actually, because of what it is, you could also technically go up and apply it surgically, and that would be a tinker.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds far better.
Okay. So you come in, and this is going to be a desperate situation. These things are actually quite potent and deadly. Your effect will be standard, and you can roll tinker.
And what I think it is she pulls out the vial, uncorks it, and there's a gauze or a membrane over it. Takes out one of her syringes, a fat one, plunges it in, pulls it out, and just goes like a caulk gun
Okay, yeah.
at its feet. My effect, you said, was standard?
Yeah, it's going to be standard, and it's a desperate roll. So mark experience under insight.
Oh, I accidentally got rid of it when I marked experience. Desperate, standard. Let's go for it. It's a 6.
All right, perfect. So you kind of sweep around this thing, and it swings its arms, and there's a moment where, Ronan, you observe, and Simon just kind of very lithely ducks out of the way as this gorilla arm comes across where Simon's head was just moments earlier. A good hit from this thing probably would have knocked Simon off the roof. And a few moments later, Simon's got both feet to the ground, and then Simon kind of does this thing where she sticks her head in one position to kind of lure another attack from this creature, and then as its hand hits the ground trying to smash Simon, she turns around and syringes the hand to the ground. So now it's just got one arm free that it can't do anything with unless you're just absolutely too close to this thing.
She backs up from it. Not much worse than a drunkard. Should stay there for a while.
Now I picture Simon gluing people to walls because they're drunk and in her way. Okay. Slate, they've been working and giving you the opportunity to kind of work your magic without too much interruption. What would you like to do next?
I think, like, severing the tie with that one, you'd kind of see, like, Slate lift up his tricorn and pull down the mask just a little bit to wipe his forehead. Like, one more. And then he's going to start rubbing his hands together, trying to, pluck at the spiritual strands of, the ether to cut the connection for the second one. This time, I'm not going to push myself because I'm running out of that stuff. So the position is still desperate, or?
Yes. If you do it wrong, it alerts them of it, so it's still going to be desperate.
I'm a glutton for punishment. Screw it, I'm pushing myself.
Okay.
Standard effect, right?
Correct.
That's a fail.
All right, so with a failure, things are going to go bad, and let's see here. I think what's going to end up happening is twofold. There are two consequences that are coming with this. Let's see. It would be severe harm, serious complication, or lose the opportunity for action. So instead of doing severe harm, I'm going to do moderate harm, and the Whisper is going to be alerted of you messing with the magic between it and its familiar. So you can choose to resist those separately. So if you don't want the Whisper to find out, you have a second chance to stop that from happening.
Of course I don't want the Whisperer to find out.
The moderate harm, by the way, is level 2 harm. And that's the gorilla basically springing out and latching itself to your chest and trying to shake you.
All right, but
I mean, it's permanently there.
The gorilla, yeah, because the gorillas are sentries. They stand inside their position until a threat happens. Slate has now identified himself as a threat, so the gorilla is latching on.
What I'm saying is, like, it cannot.
There's two gorillas.
There's two of them.
There's two.
Oh, there's two of them. I'm being dumb. Okay, my bad.
So, there's one that's crazy glued to the roof, and the other one I'm trying to sever that connection. And I didn't do too well.
Yep, and it jumped out at you for level 2 harm. So, would you like to resist anything? And which one would you like to resist first, if both?
Oh, the connection.
Okay.
Alerting the Whisper. That's definite.
I think resolve makes the most sense. You're basically using your magic to stop a bad thing from happening.
It does. Oh, but I get stressed when I resist, right?
Yes, it will be 6 minus your highest dice roll.
I need to roll a 4 or more, or I fall unconscious.
That is true.
But I'm gonna do it because if that little other enemy Whisperer gets notified, we're boned.
Jeff, I believe you still have some of your aid dice still available. You can help out with this sort of thing too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what aid that I could provide to mystical energy. Like, that's kind of...
It could be something as simple as, hey, Slate, this place was probably trapped. You should be on the lookout. And maybe Slate's like, yeah, I should have looked out. And just having the idea that Slate... Basically, you got Slate down the path of readying himself to be ready for something like this. As the spider, sometimes your motivation can be just speaking to them rather than directly helping them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and...
This is not good!
I'm gonna go ahead and use... Yeah, I'm gonna use one of my foresights to help you without stress.
Okay.
Basically, kind of just like flashing back to kind of prep phase of it. It's just... All right, so these guys are going to have their own set of abilities, their own plans, their own ways to stop us. That might include arcane powers. I would just want you to be on the lookout. Those connections can be very unstable, and it's very easy for that to kind of alert people's attention. So priority one at all times is keeping us off the grid, keeping that connection away. No matter what else happens, if we can keep on the down low, that's the main focus that we have to have. And then kind of going forward back into this situation, kind of keeping that in mind and realizing that, you know, in this kind of situation, that's the big thing that we need to push for.
All right, before you make the roll, we are going to take our quick break real quick, and then we will come back to find out the results, if Slate was able to stop it or not. So just a quick, like a 3-minute break to bio, grab drinks, all that stuff. For everybody that's been watching, thank you very much, and we'll see you guys after the break. All right, we're back. So the resist roll for keeping the Whisper from finding out what's going on. Slate, if you would.
Dun, dun,
See it.
dun. 3.
Perfect. So, regardless of what you roll, because normally 3 would be a failure, you succeed when you resist. Your consequence is the stress that you take.
So I take 3 trauma, and I'm
No
like,
stress.
Yes. And then
Yep.
you roll
And
into the
it-
trauma bracket.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the gorilla just whacks Slate and is on top of him, and Slate's on the ground, and the gorilla's just like picking him up and slamming him against the roof. Ronan, it's starting to get noisy. Unless you do something about it, if this gorilla hits his unconscious body against the roof, people are going to know.
So now that the connection has been severed, if I were to, let's say, harm this creature in some way, would they be able to tell, or not anymore because the
No, they wouldn't. Since the connection is severed, you guys are able to do what you want. You know that now that this thing is free, and it's what's referred to as a garbage golem. They wander the Deathlands and they eat living creatures. This thing, if not stopped, will try to eat Slate.
are these what I maybe I would know, maybe I wouldn't. Are these creatures vulnerable to sleep in the same way that people are? Like if I were to use, say, a vial of a certain sleeping substance on it?
Probably not. Most things from the Deathlands are kind of immune to the sleep condition because they're all dead.
Yeah, fair enough. In that case, Ronan just reaches in to his coat, just kind of sighing, grunting for a moment. Just we haven't exactly gotten off to the start that he had hoped or planned for. Just pulls out a large knife from the pocket of one of his coats, and basically trying to, like, as this thing's like on top of Slate as he's on the ground at this point, trying to just like bash his head in. He's trying to basically like sneak up behind it like assassin style and just like put it out from behind.
Okay. Since you mentioned kind of prowling on it, I think a hunt would be acceptable, but a skirmish is typically used for any sort of melee combat.
Would prowl be appropriate?
No, usually you use hunt when you're
Okay.
when you're sneaking up on stuff.
Well, I have neither of those things, so I don't know exactly how that works.
When you have 0 dots, you roll 2 dice and take the lower.
Perfect.
You can, however, push yourself to have 1 die and avoid that terrible fate. And someone can push themselves to help you, which would have to be Simon in this case.
Definitely help you.
Okay. So, Simon, what are you doing to kind of help out?
I think she's going to just she's going to run in front of it and drag Slate's body away from it, keeping it moving and keeping its attention on a moving target rather than just having the ability to, oh, look, there's a guy behind me. Now it's got to focus more.
Okay, perfect.
And if I were to say, push myself for a devil's bargain in this scenario, what might that look like, if you have any ideas?
Okay, yeah.
Well, pushing yourself and Devil's Bargain are mutually exclusive, correct?
Yeah, you can only push yourself or take a devil's bargain, but someone can
Oh, yeah.
someone can
that's
help
what I
you,
meant.
and you can take a devil's bargain. So,
Yeah.
as far as a devil's bargain, it would be you're gonna get hurt doing it. Like it's gonna do you harm, and I'd say it's probably gonna be moderate harm, which would be level 2.
Not worth it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a no-go on that one. All right, let's see it. What position?
It's gonna be desperate.
Yeah. Effect.
Standard.
All right, and I get. So I'm gonna end up with 0 bonus die. Well, should I put 1 in the system because I don't have any skill in that?
You're getting one from
Would
me.
that
You're getting
would that
one
level
from-
it back
from
up?
this.
It's a 3.
Okay. So you move in, and for a desperate roll, let me pull it back up here again. A 3 is the outcome is it's the worst outcome. I don't think he's going to cause you harm. What's going to end up happening is he lurches his head back and he starts screaming. Your knife strokes are just not impacting with this garbage golem like the way you want it to. In fact, at one point you think you've stuck it, and you stuck a knife into a bag of like filth, and just like a bunch of it oozes out, but you realize that the bag has like no real impact on the core of this creature. The screech that it lets out, you can hear people moving around inside the building. Whoever's inside has been alerted to you. Okay. Simon, you are kind of pulling the thing towards you, but you're running out of roof space. What would you like to do?
See, I have a lot of drugs at my disposal, but not a lot of things that kill garbage.
Yep.
Do I know what holds these things together?
Yeah, I think these are probably common enough that you'd have an idea of what holds them together. But it's a little different for each garbage golem. You know that the basic concept is that there's a spirit has basically tried to tie itself to debris. So there's one object inside its body that the spirit would be housed in. If you were to destroy that, it releases the ghost that was inhabiting this garbage, and it will cause them to dissipate temporarily. They will come back eventually and just be a ghost without a body, but they're kind of like a really cheap, desperate version of a hull.
That's what I was thinking.
If you want to find the weak spot on this thing, it would be a study to determine which part is the part that houses the spirit.
That seems reasonable. Position?
This is going to be risky standard.
Any devil's bargains?
What are you trying to attack it?
No, he's studying it to find the weak point on the golem. Yeah, I got a devil's bargain. You have been pulling Slate's body. If you stop worrying about Slate, which may cause him some problems, and I mean will, you could focus on this thing and get an extra die, but Slate's body will be free for the garbage golem to go after.
I'll do it.
Okay. So you let go of the Slate's body and you kind of back up and
Yep.
you study the little gorilla thing. Just like jumps on Slate, grabs him by his overalls, and or by his jacket's like sides, and just like swings him over. And you watch as Slate goes off the side of the building.
I rolled
And
a 3.
yeah, there's a bunch of boxes inside the alleyway that break. Slate, we're going to come back to you after the fight's over, but that's going to be enough to wake you up. Okay. Simon, unfortunately, a 3 does not garner you the success that you were hoping for. I am starting a clock for the backup to arrive. when the gorilla like growled and the others were alerted, that filled in one of the 4 slots. I'm basically filling in a second, so it's halfway done. Okay. Next up is going to be Ronan. You see that the gorilla hucked Slate off the roof and is now coming for Simon again.
This type of situation is not exactly Ronan's wheelhouse.
None of our wheelhouse.
No, I hate to be that guy, but I am. Since this one is distracted with throwing Slate off the roof and chasing after Simon, and the other one is glued to the floor, can I get inside the building before people will see me go in?
Yeah, you probably could right now. You can hear that people inside are doing stuff, but you're not sure that they're actually coming upstairs just yet. So you slip past the doorway, and as you do, when you move it, there's kind of like this liquid sensation as you touch the door. And once it moves, it feels like the door is wet. Like it was very dry when you put your hand on it, but as it moves, the door becomes slick. And then you step inside, and you hear from a female voice, "Shit, they made it through the door. Fuck. Get what you can. We gotta get out of here." And you can see that there's like a catwalk where you come in through the building, and it basically goes 2 levels at the top. There's a middle level, and then there's a bottom level, but the whole thing has like a hole inside the center, so you can actually stick your head over and see that there's a long like table that has been salvaged. It's pretty disrepaired, but there's a bunch of devices all over this table, and there's some runic markings, and there's a big statue in the middle of the table. You can see people are sweeping up what looks like maybe incense and stuff like that away from the statue. They're just trying to collect everything that they can, and they're just stuffing it in bags. A female who looks to be perhaps maybe a noble, she has kind of that air to her. She looks and she says, "Shit, shit, shit." It's the same voice that you heard a minute ago. And she grabs the statue and she starts to move with it. But it's a little too heavy for her. She's pretty slow with it. From there, we're going to go over to Simon and the monkey of garbage. Simon, this thing is coming at you. You weren't able to determine its weak point, but Slate being thrown off the roof kind of gave you an idea. You might be able to outsmart this thing. That's how most people get away from it. They're diddly, but they're dumb. If this thing falls off the roof, it'll probably die too.
El Toro!
Okay. Yeah.
Stand on the edge of the roof and ready to jump off.
Okay.
I think that's Prowl?
Let's see. Prowl is unseen traverse, climb, jump, ambush with close violence. I think finesse might make more sense.
Either is fine.
Yeah, let's go with finesse.
Sorry about that. Desperate, I assume?
No. Since they are particularly weak when it comes to intelligent things to do against them, it is a risky situation instead of desperate.
Effect?
It's going to be standard, which will be it falls off the roof.
I will push myself.
Okay. You can do so to make it great effect, which becomes it falls off the roof and smashes into a billion pieces of garbage all over the ground, and the spirit is taken care of as well in the same move. Or you could take the bonus die.
Can I make it desperate to make it great?
You absolutely can.
Let's go for it.
Okay. You get really close to the edge, and there's a moment where you kind of think, "Man, I probably shouldn't have done this," but it's too late. The gorilla begins charging at you.
Did Ronan have any wise words to give me at some point?
The flashback to Ronan. Do not engage with golems.
Oh, I have something else in mind actually. If you'll allow it.
Okay.
So we go back not into the planning phase, but basically while we were getting ready to jump onto this roof and begin this whole mess. Ronan actually attached to the side of this building when we got here a rope to climb down the side of the wall just in case we needed to.
I love you.
And suddenly you flash back, you kind of recall that moment. Wait, there should be a rope here. So basically you can kind of use that to get further off the ledge than you might have been able to otherwise, to be able to hold yourself up and not completely fall.
Instead of jumping to the side, she's going to jump off and catch herself now.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
So that's a bonus die. I'm pushing myself. Let's go.
All right. So with the 4, it is you're going to do it, but there is going to be a consequence.
Dice. Ooh, that's an experience.
Oh, sorry. It is desperate, actually. So
Yep.
Looking over here, I actually really like what happens in Risky, which is you end up in a desperate situation. So that's what we're going to go with.
How hanging off the side of a building?
No, even better. So you leap off, the golem flies across, hits the building across the way, and just scatters across the concrete. The piece breaks, the spirit breaks free, and you can hear it wail as it goes into the spirit world again. And it dissipates. But Simon, you grab the rope, and your momentum is just so strong that you whip around, and you go through an open window. But once the rope kind of snaps around, it creates too much of a throw for you that you can't just hang on to the rope and go back out. It throws you, and you skid across the floor. It would be level 1 harm. We'll call it road rash.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah, we'll call it road rash. And you see that there are 5 individuals that are slinging stuff in bags that suddenly are really aware that there's just someone they didn't expect on the first floor. They are all wearing the same kind of clothing, which is not uncommon for gangs around Duskfall, but these guys are wearing more like cloak cult-like items. There also happens to be one of them that looks rather noble, carrying a statue of one of the old gods.
Did Ronan get a good look at the noblewoman?
Yes, Ronan did.
Would he know if she's Narya Karstus? Seeing as he has had encounters with her?
Yeah, you would, Ronan. It is Narya.
I wrote down all
Slate.
day.
The gorillas have been dealt with, so I'm going to say that scene is closed. You come to consciousness, and you can hear that things have gone really wrong. You don't know why you're in the alleyway, but you are. There is a bunch of garbage scattered all over the place, and you hear kind of Simon's grinding pain throes as she hits something not too far away from you.
I got a question. What happens to my stress?
It clears, and you take a trauma. So on the trauma list, you can pick from one of those options.
Right. Oh, okay.
Cold, haunted, obsessed, paranoid, reckless, soft, unstable, or vicious.
And these are effectively tags for how your character should act in the future. When you play to your trauma or your trauma becomes a problem for the group, you'll gain experience for that sort of thing. So what kind of trauma do you think Slate gained from this experience?
I think both because of the experience and the fact that it seems like I started building him towards a more fightery type of character. Vicious.
Vicious? Okay. Yeah, I could see that. So you kind of get up and you kind of wipe off your face, and we see this change in Slate's demeanor. He's got kind of this expression like, oh, I'm going to just mess somebody up. This is not a good day.
You see like the little blood coming out of the nose. His prized mask has a chip in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he doesn't know where his tricorn went. His hair's all mussed up. Probably like reaches into his jacket, takes one of those little flasks, like the real tiny thin flasks of liquid awesome, and chugs it real quick. Son of a god. And I think he just starts walking with like that. You can tell even behind the mask, like his brow is furrowed so deeply, he's just got slits for eyes.
Okay, so yeah, you come around and you can see the door to the main building. The people inside, Simon, you could see that, and Ronan, you could see that they're evacuating through any exit. They're trying to take separate exits, that way you guys can't close them up. Slate, as you come out towards the back door, because that was the closest one you landed to, there's two younger people that you don't recognize, but one of them's got a spirit mask in one hand, and the other's got kind of a bag full of stuff, and they look really surprised to see you there, like they weren't expecting anybody in the alleyway.
Did they already make their ways out?
They're just outside of the door. You're pretty much walking up on them, and they weren't expecting you, so they're about 10 feet away from you, and they suddenly realize you're there. They were going your direction.
I think, okay, so for equipment, I'd have to mark off a tick or just remember it?
What I usually do on the character sheet is when I say, hey, I've got the gun, I click the box for gun, and then I remember that there's only 3 boxes that I can click.
Oh, all right. So I think I'll have a blade.
Okay.
Or two.
So in that moment where this woman comes out, and she's like, she's surprised to see that there's someone here, just taking a step into her as she steps out, since the distance is so close. He pulls the blade and just tries to shiver.
Okay. Yeah, and this one, so this is a little bit different than normal, like, RPGs. If you guys want to say, hey, I'm going to attack both of them, you guys can do that. It may change the position. Just wanted to let you guys know how attacking multiple targets and stuff like that works.
Oh, there's how many of them are there?
There's 2 women inside the alleyway now with you.
Okay. So I'd want to attack both of them.
Okay. If you attack both of them, it is going to be a risky position with standard effect, which means that you will cause them some harm. If you wanted to push yourself and do great effect, you could put them down.
Could I just do it? What
you could also
Simon did?
Yeah, you could also go to desperate with great effect as well.
All right, so that's what I'll do. I'll push myself for the attack.
Okay.
Wait, could I do that? Both of those together?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so I'll push myself to get an extra die on the attack, and then I'll make it a desperate roll to increase for great effect.
Yeah.
And then I get 1 die for pushing myself. Oh, no good.
Okay. I think with a 3, you're still able to put one of them in kind of a bad situation. You're not really going to be able to take care of both of them. One of the girls slips away as you attack the first one and just abandons her friend. This is the one that's got the bag. The one that has the mask. You sink your knife into her rib, but she twists out of the way, and you can feel your knife break off. These are kind of cheaper knives since you guys are tier 0. You've got others, but it's just kind of frustrating. You're like, nothing is going my way today. And as she does this, though, it's such intense pain that she drops the mask that she's holding, and she begins bolting away from you. the part that kind of causes you to maybe pause for a second is you look down at this spirit mask, and typically Whispers have all sorts of masks, but there's a certain group that has a very particular style of mask, the Spirit Wardens. They all wear these kind of no-eyed, featureless masks of gold. What she was holding is a Spirit Warden's mask.
Okay.
Okay. Next we will go to Ronan. Ronan, you can hear Simon skid and scream out a little bit in pain as she bounces across the floor. You see the woman that has the statue look across to Simon, and with a flash you can see that she's pulled a rapier. Or a cutlass rather. She's intending to go through Simon if necessary to get out. What would you like to do?
So at this point, Ronan's kind of committed to what he was trying to do here, and obviously from leaving his teammates the first time. So he actually reaches into one of his other pockets and pulls out basically a rolled up tube of paper, and as he unrolls it, it's blueprints to this warehouse. And he's basically trying to look at these blueprints and see if there was going to be a room in here where there's going to be the most available information or objects left, where that would be, and he's going to try to start heading in that direction, trying to using the chaos to kind of keep himself covered.
Okay. Yeah, let's call it a study roll, like you're studying and this is going to keep you out of the attention of everybody else. It's just going to be a risky standard effect. The risk being
right.
You'll be discovered and someone might interfere with you.
I'm not going to push myself. I'm just going to take the standard roll, and that is a 5.
Okay. So looking over the plans, there's kind of this weird anomaly inside the blueprints. You've got a couple editions of blueprints, and there's a change that happened. There's a room that was an office that seems to be missing from one of your newer sets of blueprints. So you begin heading that direction. Simon, you kind of look across, and Naria Karstris as heading towards your direction with a cutlass out, but just behind her you can see Ronan with like a big blueprint opened up, running through boxes, and like stops for a moment, looks around, and then turns and goes down like a corridor way.
She has to stop a smile. She pulls from the middle little section of that bandolier a small metal ball and flips a switch on it, holding down the handle. And she says, lesson number 3, always have the upper hand. I'm sure you don't know what this is, and I'm sure you don't want to be anywhere near me when I let go of it. So let's just sit down and talk real quick.
Okay.
Also, at this point, like, there are 8 lessons number 3.
Yeah. So
Even better.
that is probably a command, because command also functions like as like intimidations.
I was hoping sway. That's fine.
Yeah, sway could work. I'd let that happen.
Risky, controlled, desperate.
Risky.
I have a live
risky.
maiden.
She is a commander of a Leviathan hunter ship, so she's not really afraid to die. But she is kind of afraid of her plans not coming to fruition. She's got something worth saving here.
This is the debutante?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
Narya.
Ooh.
Or sorry,
She was-
not debutante Narya. It's the commander, which is Pharaoh Stev. I wrote commander on the wrong line in my notes.
Okay. Is Stev female or male?
Male.
Okay.
So he has something to lose, but he doesn't necessarily care if he dies.
What should my effect be?
Effect is going to be limited. Like I said, he's not afraid to die.
Okay.
If you succeed, like the best case scenario is Mexican standoff for a little bit of a conversation.
Let's go for it. That's 4.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna say that you succeed. We'll go ahead and bump that up because I'm interested to see how this conversation goes. But his disposition to you is going to start pretty hostile. Like before, it was a succeed would have been just like both of you being leery. You can tell that Stev is actively looking for a moment of weakness for him to take advantage of. You have to be on your edge the whole time you're talking with him, or else he's going to try and take you out.
What's going on here, Mr. Pharaohs?
He kind of frowns and he says, "And I never got your name."
You can call me Simon.
Well,
Big smile.
Simon, and he kind of starts to take a couple steps to like circle you, but you manage to stay facing him. That way, he knows that he's not going to get that easy of an opening. My friends and I were just leaving. You should do the same.
Who's the statue of?
As you ask, he kind of grips the statue closer, and you realize that I had some stuff on the top of my desk that fell. You realize that that is what he doesn't want to lose. That's the whole reason he's not flying at you right now, is the thought of losing the statue. He does not respond to you, and he just he goes, "Never mind that. Get out of here if you know what's good for you. Spirit wardens will be here soon enough."
I am very sure of that. However, I'm not the one holding the magical piece of rock, now am I? Think they'll make me a deputy?
I think they'll take your whisper in. And probably you.
But
It doesn't have to end this way. We could both just walk away.
I'll make you a trade.
He kind of glares and he takes like a half step towards you. And again, it's that same kind of movement where you move with him and countering his movements, trying not to give him that opening. He's still listening though.
Here's the deal. You tell me, honestly, why you are attacking the Templeton family's Leviathan hunters and who that statue is of, and that statue doesn't break in a hail of shrapnel and death or get taken in by the spirit wardens. I am sure it's the same to you. Either way.
When you say the Templeton's ship, he kind of laughs and he says, "They're just a small fraction of my plan."
So it's your plan.
Templeton's. Ours. Hers. And he kind of grips the statue as he says hers. The Templetons are seeking to awaken a power that no mortal should have. Only she should have it. I don't care if the Spirit Wardens take me, you kill me, or anything beyond that. There will be more. And we will stop the Templetons.
You have yet to live up to your end of this deal.
He does something completely unexpected. He holds the statue out with one hand away from his body and the sword in the opposite, like he's basically opened himself up completely to you. Now that he's expanded out his arm, you can get a good look at this statue. It's a female that, almost for lack of a better term, almost looks like the Starbucks mermaid. It's like a female form, and there's this huge fin that comes up behind her that like swirls and makes almost this kind of a hypnotic pattern of bright shimmering colors. The statue is probably pretty expensive on its own, but it's not a god or a cult that you recognize just from the looks of it. It's not one of the big name ones. But he's basically offering himself up for martyrdom because he believes that there's no way out at this point.
I'm just checking my drugs real quick. Because I have that one vial that hasn't been used yet. All right. So she like rears back like she's about to throw the grenade as she pulls the vial off. No, she doesn't even pull it. She grabs like what looks like a dart, sticks it in, and then tosses it at him. This is standstill poison, and it will paralyze him.
Okay. And with the poison, the drawback is volatile, sickened, level 1 harm. I know that you have one level 1 harm, so this will be your second.
All right. I won't even resist.
Okay.
She like sticks herself with it, and it isn't enough to actually paralyze her, but like her entire left arm is numb now.
Okay.
All right. Should I roll? Should I make an action roll? Or is he paralyzed?
I'm going to say he's paralyzed because he's not fighting you. There was a consequence that happened. I filled in a clock that is on my end, but that's all that you need to know about that for now.
And can I make a flashback?
Yeah.
I'd rather just describe the result of the flashback because it's more dramatically interesting.
Okay.
And then you'll quickly understand what it was. She reaches into like a pocket, like big cargo pocket on the side of her pants, and pulls out the audiograph as it just ticks away. As I had clicked this before we began the mission.
I'm going to say that's a 0 stress. That's a free flashback. I think that makes a lot of sense for your character. Okay. And you can see him become paralyzed, and he's just frozen with his arms out, kind of locked in this position for just a moment. And as the venom works its way through him, his arms start to sag a little bit, and he drops everything and just face plants into the ground. Just completely paralyzed, can't move anything. The muscles have stopped moving. But this statue falls, and there's a little crack that formed in it. But you can clearly get access to the statue right now. It's not broken or anything. Ronan, we'll come back to you in just a second. Slate, because I remembered you are in the middle of people running away from you. You found a Spirit Warden mask on one of them that was running away. do you decide to take up pursuit, or do you want to go back inside?
Um. Oh God, I just want to do all sorts of bad things now. Have I seen the guy inside or not?
You know that there's more inside. If they had two whispers are not super common in the city. There's probably at least a few people inside.
But both whisperers.
You assume that one of them that left probably was a whisper since they had the Spirit Warden mask,
Okay.
but you're not really sure unless you attune to try and figure out who the whispers are.
Yeah, I think I want to like pick up the Spirit Warden mask and definitely extend my senses to see if I can figure out if they were the whisperers or if the whisperers are still inside.
Okay.
Narya definitely was the one that responded to the door being opened.
So there's an interesting thing that you can do if you want, is if you believe that this mask is owned by one of the people in that building, you could actually try and find them by using the mask to help your attunement, which will give you a bonus.
Yeah.
But if it's not tied to them, you'll just figure out which Spirit Warden, or at least where that Spirit Warden is that's missing his mask.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to be risky standard. The risk is a failure means the Spirit Warden that is tied to that mask will know that you're looking for them. Just to give you a heads up on what will happen if it's a failure.
Can I upgrade that?
You want to make it a controlled situation? Because making it a controlled situation will definitely help you out. You could push yourself to make it a controlled, I think.
All right.
Or you could just take extra time, which means that you will not be able to pursue the people that are following you. You'll just have to
I'm not.
use the
No.
attunement to track them.
I'm not taking extra time at all.
Okay.
Wait a minute. You said that the risk is that they know me specifically, that I'm looking for them.
Yeah, they're gonna recognize your arcane signature, just like you will be able to recognize their arcane signature. Which means that if they go looking for you, they're gonna have to attune and find you through magical means. But if they ever attune you specifically, they'll fingerprint you essentially.
See, if I'm discovered, that's kind of more fun, isn't it?
Okay.
Smart thing would be not to, but
So
I think I'm gonna
risky standard.
risky standard, and I'm pushing myself for an additional die.
Okay.
That's what I get. 414.
All right, perfect. So you are able to succeed as far as a setback. I'm going to fill in a section of my 4 clock over here that I've been hiding. And that is full, and we'll get to that in a moment. You stretch yourself out, and you can feel who this mask is connected to. But they're not running away. They're moving to your location. Simon,
I think, yeah.
Simon, you hear kind of a raspy laughter from the paralyzed person. You can tell that they've fought pretty hard against the venom, but it's not so bad that their lungs are paralyzed and he's going to die, but he's at least able to kind of emote something. He can't really move his face to make words, but you hear Sir Horde. Ronan, you find a wall that you've determined is false, and through a couple of manipulations you find the boards to break open. As you do, there's a large well that is inside this room that's kind of hidden away, and it's hidden away in this kind of away from the outer edges of the building, so nothing looks kind of unusual about it. There's this large statue of this kind of mermaid goddess, like I described. She's more animalistic inside this depiction. She seems to be covered with barnacles and have these huge like crab pincers for hands. And she's got 3 arms, one on one side and 2 on the other. The third arm is almost like a vestigial smaller arm with an even smaller pincher on it. Or what looks like kind of a dress-like body comes up and to form this large tail that's pearlescent and full of different colors. And the well that's in front of her, you're not really sure what it is, but it does not feel like the kind of thing that you should really be messing with. And it's at that moment that Slate kind of makes it through the doorway, knife in hand. Through the big double doors on the other side, you see Ruby and her guards come in. There's a bunch of bluecoats running in. You see men with gold masks and women with gold masks as well, spirit wardens. You hear these hard thunking sounds of 2 hulls moving in. The whole building is surrounded. What do you guys do?
Can I see them?
Yes.
Tilting like the newsboy cap that she wears. Good evening, officers. I believe we found a cult. Could someone take this grenade?
As you say that, one of the officers that operates the hulls comes over and, like, basically it's a careful exchange between the 2 of you to maintain positive control because it's a dead man switch. And he takes it and begins disarming it. After a few moments, Ruby, or Seltha Templeton, has moved into the room. You gather that she has brought this force with you, and this is the cleanup crew that she spoke of. So, do you have my evidence?
I hand her. I don't hand it to her. I hold up the audiograph. This contains a detailed recording of this man's testimony. Oh, by the way, this gentleman is Stev Faros. He was a Leviathan hunter on a ship called the Despair. At one point, I believe he has shifted his alliances with the Leviathans these days.
She nods her head, and the 2 of her goons, the bigger kind of burly one, walks over and manacles him. Ronan, you kind of emerge out of this secret room and see that the room is just full of all sorts of people. Slate, when you come in, you are still kind of attuning, and you can feel that this mask is actually tied to someone in the room. You'd have to push yourself further and attune again to narrow it down, but you could do so if you wanted.
Why not?
Okay. This would be controlled since you are kind of in control of this situation. There's not a whole lot of risk for you.
So I'm pushing myself, so I gain the 2 more stress, right?
If you want to push yourself, you can. But when I say you push yourself,
Okay.
you don't actually have to do the mechanic of push. I should have realized that I'm leading you down a bad path by using that phrase.
I was ready to do it. But it's already controlled, right?
Actually, if you were to actually take the action of pushing yourself, there would be no roll involved. Just pay the 2 stress, and I'll tell you who it is.
Yeah, done.
Okay. You know that Spirit Wardens keep their identity secret. If you out someone as a Spirit Warden, you ruin their career. So this is actually really handy information to have since you guys are information brokers. The mask is tied to Seltha Templeton.
Yes!
Something tells me you're not exactly who you say you are, Ruby.
I think, like, he's attuning to it, and then he just has, like, that grin, and you see just a little bit of that little bit of blood in the saliva of his smile, after taking that beating that he did, and he stands there with his hands sort of behind his back, you know, in a very relaxed position, with just the mask and the one hand behind him.
Simon, is that something you actually say to Miss
Yes,
Templeton?
definitely.
Okay.
Well, would you know that information? I don't know that would have been.
I was thinking.
Well,
that
she
before.
came in with a bunch of
okay.
spirit wardens
She
and,
came
and blue
Yeah.
coats, so
Fair enough.
She's definitely got something going on. She
Yeah,
says,
I was planning that before.
She says, as I told you before, my family's investments are important to me. I know that they're tied to my uncle, and I still need proof on that, but you've done more than I've asked. She takes the wax cylinder from you. I would appreciate discretion in the future if my name was to come up again involving any of this. My uncle would be forced to do something quite desperate.
Do you have anything to play that on? It's just a wax cylinder. Do you?
She kind of like sheepishly admits that she does not, because in aristocracy you don't want to admit that you don't have things, but like this is something you made, so there's not really anybody else who has something quite like it. She says, I do not. I was going to see if someone in my household might be able to come up with something.
I have its pair if you need any services. But Ruby, I believe we should gather the troops and then discuss payment.
Of course, and the Bluecoats have moved in on all of you. Their Bluecoats are very like, I don't care who it is, you're a bunch of criminals, I'm arresting everybody. And after a few moments, you see Ruby, she does it in kind of a weird way. She's not really issuing orders to them. She's like, oh, not them. They're not involved. I hired them as private investigators. And the Bluecoats are giving up way too easy. Like, they seem to be really paying attention to what she's telling you. And Slate, this is just hilarious to you because you know the big secret. Ronan,
Slate's still with that messed up grin.
Ronan, you were also able to find something that the Spirit Wardens would definitely want to know about. That well.
Yeah, I was just getting to that part. Just trying to think if there's anything that I can leverage it with. Well, because they're gonna see that opening. Is it still like open, entirely open? The secret room, so to speak.
Yeah, you had to tear apart some boards and remove like some drywall and stuff.
Yeah. So given that they're gonna see that when they do, I'm sure they're doing a more thorough search soon to come. Just kind of approaching up to the rest of the group coming from that area that I had kind of come out of while all this commotion was unfolding. Just there's a something else here that you and the spirit friends you brought might want to check out. Back there. He kind of nods over to that broken piece of wall.
You see a large man in Spirit Warden typical attire, which is the white from like a white coat with a black cross on the back, the golden mask, and then it has like embroidery and buttons in gold and stuff like that. It's like a really showy uniform. He comes forward, but he looks like he's stretched to the brim inside this suit. Like it's just poorly tailored to the man. He's this huge guy, and he just starts ripping apart wall sections as another more lithe female figure comes up, and she kind of runs her hand along the wall. There's something that you kind of pick up on. The younger girl seems to be probably newer at this. Spirit Wardens' masks don't have eyes, but they move like they can see. She seems to be having a harder time with it. She's touching objects, finding her way around. being information brokers, these are clues that you guys pick up on regularly. Once she gets in, she kind of leans over to the well, and she turns over to one of the hulls, and she begins issuing orders. And you can hear the voice. It's kind of a softer voice. She's basically telling the hull to take it apart. The well. She turns to you and she says, "Did you do anything to it? Did you put anything inside? Take anything out?"
I didn't lay a finger on it. I just started looking at it when the squad busted in.
These wells, if you find more, report them. There are ways for spirits to get into the city. Dustfall does not need that. Not again. And the hull starts breaking bricks and removing them. As the statue falls, you can almost hear like a lyrical kind of screaming sound come from the statue as it breaks apart. Those are not her guards. They have kind of similar description. But her guards are actually like throwing manacles on people and stuff like that.
Do be careful with Mr. Faros. He, I'm sure, is of much value. Although he's a bit of a zealot for whatever that fish god he worships is.
One of the bluecoats, you'll recognize him as, let's see here.
Oh, is he the archivist?
No, not the archivist. It's going to be Captain Darmot. Captain Darmot looks over and he goes, "Mr. Faros. Well, that does have a nice ring to it. I always hated calling him Commander." And he just kind of like shoves him against the wall and starts pushing him out the door.
Have a nice day, Stev.
You guys haven't shared it, but I did want to remind you that you do have a list of all 5 people that were in this room if you wanted to leverage that as well.
We'll sell that.
Yeah. You definitely could.
We paid for it.
That's why I was saying you could leverage that information if you want, or you could just give it willingly. Spirit Wardens do not take leveraging well. You could attempt to give it to them and then be like, "Hey, we helped you out." In the future, you could try and get something out of them, but they're not going to give you coin for it. They're going to laugh at your attempt to take coin from them and take it anyways because it's evidence, and you all know that. But Seltha Templeton, she might pay for it. She says, "Yes. Well, let's play that recording. If there's enough for me to be able to confront my father about my uncle's business, then we should be fine. We have most of what we need here. I was hoping we'd get more than just one of them, though."
And not really knowing, well, would I know how pushy Spirit Wardens would be? Like, if I were to try to talk to her, like, out of earshot, would they, like, try to get up in our business?
The Spirit Wardens are kind of, like, attuning and moving around, doing a bunch of, like, magical sensing and stuff like that. There is a chance for you to talk to her that's kind of off to the side and kind of hushed tones, but it's risky to do it here because there's so many cops and bluecoats and Spirit Wardens.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Slate, you're the one with the list, so we'll let you make the call if you want to try to get your money back on it.
Well, I guess, like, we've been together for a little bit, right? And you know that gleam in the trader's eye when they see they have an opportunity to make a deal. I think I'd probably catch that gleam in your eye and get the gist of stuff. Um, I'll walk up and like give a nod since we're not being like manacled or anything, and try to like flourish myself a little bit, even though I'm walking with a limp. I'm kind of injured, but just so much so that I could put the mask like inside my trench coat,
Hmm.
the golden mask, and I want to walk up to her bodyguards and kind of like say hello, to get a little bit more attention towards other things than Seltho.
Yeah, and they kind of feed into it with you, and you're given a unique opportunity. You're actually really close to Pharos. Since you are vicious, the cops might not stop you if you just, sucker punch this paralyzed guy.
Where is he? Like, are they do they have him propped up?
He's
or...
like propped up against a wall, and the two bodyguards are standing near him. So, like, when you walk up, it's like a prime opportunity. But you got to make that choice, like, as soon as you walk up to just punch him. But if you don't do it right away, you're going to lose your chance. There's going to be too many cops around.
Yeah, I think while he's walking up, the woman of the two, the female of the two, I think he walks up and kind of like just really quickly grabs the back of Pharos' head to knee him in the face, to force his body away, and then kind of like prop himself up in that position a little closer to her. I'm like, oh yeah, how you been doing? It feels like it's been so long.
Yeah, there's just kind of this as you bury your knee into his face. He's got a broken nose now. He's still paralyzed. Ronan, you kind of watch the whole thing go down, and you kind of like grit your teeth a little bit because that was unnecessary, but you were able to get your chance with Seltha. Her bodyguards are far enough away and distracted again that there's definitely a chance for it.
Yeah, so as soon as he sees the knee connect with the face of this paralyzed guy, just kind of simultaneously upset at the unnecessary attention, but also glad for the opportunity it creates, just kind of walks up next to Seltha and says, "Just between you and me, you have what you need here from us, but if you want a little extra, it's going to cost a little extra."
She looks at you, and she's got kind of this coy smile on her face, and she says, "Let us not discuss it here. There are too many ears. I've received an invite from young Simon to listen to this cylinder, so I'm sure we'll have time."
And just kind of, without even kind of breaking the motion as he was walking up next to her, just kind of nods without even making eye contact and walks past her as if like that was the intention all along from people who might have been watching from afar and not able to hear.
Okay. And I think that we're just going to kind of cut scene right there and come back to listening to the wax cylinder, and the whole thing plays out.
There's a lot of cries of pain. Oh my God! What the hell?
Like a screaming garbage
Gorilla
monkey.
screaming.
Fast forward through that.
But yeah, the whole scene plays out. Slate, do you want to share the information that you gathered about Seltha to the rest of the group, or are you going to keep that to yourself? Because that may change how this scene works.
I just feel compelled to do really horrible things. Is what it is. Would I know, like, what do you need? Like, what kind of proof do you need to prove someone's a spirit warden, or?
It's that mask. That's pretty much it. Their identities are kept so secret. They come from all walks of life. So, like, really, anyone from, like, a nobleman to a homeless person on the street could technically be a spirit warden. There's no real telling unless you find them with their mask, and that's considered proof.
All right, so I guess before
The
that,
mask is actually tied to the person, so if you attune, you can prove if that person's just holding someone else's mask or if it's their mask, though.
so I think I will reveal it to my compatriots, but it'll be in a very brash way. Like we'll get back to the secret spot, and I'm like, oh, creaking, all the injuries that I just received from this pummeling. And I'll take off my mask and I'll look at the crack and I'm like, oh, damaged goods. What do you think? And I'll, put my mask up to my face without strapping it on, and then take it down and reach into my coat to get the Spirit Warden's mask. I go and I put that up to my face. I go, which one suits me more, huh?
Just completely deadpan. Well, one of them doesn't have eye holes.
Yeah, it is more suited to its owner, don't you think? Maybe I'll give it back to her when she drops by later today.
And Ronan just kind of gives you like a sideward glance of like half confusion, not quite realization. Her as in her.
He just grins.
That is fantastic. So either we're going to get deputized, or we're all fucking dead.
That's besides the point. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Hey, no risk, no reward, right?
Fair point.
Her hands are just wrapped in bandages. Yeah,
The immersion.
I guess so.
So, it comes back to that scene where she's listened to the scene between Simon and Stev Pharos, and she stops the cylinder once it reaches at the end of the recording. She goes, "Fortunately, this isn't enough. The Spirit Wardens are interrogating him. Perhaps we can find out more. I did learn something, and you seem like a lot that would be interested in finding this out, but you saw the well, the shrine. They seem to be worshipping a lost goddess. She's, oddly enough, referred to as the Siren Song. It's the same name for the device my family's working on. I don't know her actual name, but that's what the cultists call her. Just thought it was interesting.
She's already heard the part on the recording where Stav was, her family doesn't need it, that belongs to...
Yeah.
Alright, just give me a second.
Pharos said that his cult was known as the Broken Chord.
That would explain the musical codes.
Indeed.
He seems to believe that they're planning for something more. I appreciate all the work that you've put in. Was there anything else that you were able to find? And she looks very pointedly at Ronan because of the conversation that you had.
He kind of looks over towards Slate just to kind of get some sort of confirmation, but without even necessarily waiting to see if he actually gets it or not. Just kind of, there's more, but it'll cost a little bit more. It was expensive to us, so it'll be expensive to you too. But I guarantee it's worth the investment.
She says, of course. I almost forgot. Your payment. One moment. And she goes outside your building where her guards are, and she brings them inside, Once inside,
Oh, meeting. I don't think we ever discussed where we're actually meeting.
did you not want to do it in the candle shop? Because I kind of figured you were going to meet her on the front side.
And not in the secret part, but like in
Yeah.
the
Yeah, on the
Shop.
front side is what I mean, like the shop.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah,
Can I do a candle?
she calls her guards in, and once they're inside, they open up a case, and inside you see these kind of golden statuettes. They're very small. One looks like a fencer who's striking with a thrust, and the other one seems to be doing a riposte. He's got his rapier up like he's going to defend and then bring it across. She says, it's my understanding that people in your line of business prefer things that might be of more value for less space. If you want, you guys can take a look to kind of evaluate what these are, which would be a study roll to kind of appraise them. If not, you can kind of trust what she tells you.
I have a .NET.
I think I have two. So I think that
Seems
Ronan
more
definitely would take a look. He's kind of more of the social, more of the negotiator for a lot of their contracts, I'd imagine. So he'd kind of be the one that would look them over here.
Yeah, okay.
And position?
It's just a fortune roll
Oh, fortune roll. Sorry.
using your study as your number of dice that you start with.
4 and a 5.
Okay. So with that, you look it over. This is about 6 coin worth of statue here. She says, that is what I planned for the evidence that you've provided. If you have something else to supplement that, we can discuss price after I find out what it is.
Or instead, you can take my word for it. I've given you my name, you've given me yours. And kind of looks over to Slate and basically, I don't know if Slate actually would give it to him or not, would kind of hold his hand out for the paper with the names on it.
I think Slade be like looking at all what's going on and sort of eyeing these brand new baubles, this golden statues, the notion of more. And he'll slowly like slip into his his coat and produce like the rolled up piece of paper between two fingers and attempt to suavely walk over, but obviously the limp is
I'm sorry, I
painfully
misread.
obvious.
It's worth 8 coin. It's a big score, serious loot.
Even better. So as Slate kind of stumbles up to Ronan kind of takes up the folded piece of paper, and he kind of pulls up over one of the candles on the table, kind of next to him, so that the flame is kind of right in front of him. Just kind of like tips the tip of the paper onto the flame, not enough to light the paper on fire, but just kind of singe the tip of it, just to kind of toy with the idea of it, and just you put in another statue's worth of coin here, you get this paper. And he kind of sets it down like directly in front of him on the table with his hand on top of it.
She doesn't reach for it. She kind of looks at it and she like bites at her lip for a moment and she says, "What are you selling? 4 coin is a lot to ask."
Names.
She looks very impressed and she says, I'm sure that this will cover it. And she reaches up and she removes this very nice emerald brooch that she's wearing, and she sets it down on the table. This easily is 4 coin worth.
More than just
And-
names. Names, professions, certain connections. For a few, at least.
And kind of looking at the amulet with another 4 coins worth, just kind of looks to the two of you, just to kind of confirm that you guys are also okay with where we're sitting at with the 12 coin total now instead of 8, to just verify that that's a deal.
It just he nods. Slate nods.
And just kind of one hand just taking onto the amulet, and the other hand keeping on the table, just basically simultaneously slides both of them around kind of in a circle so that now he has the amulet and the papers in front of her on the other side.
She unfolds it and she smiles to herself, and she goes, "Well, it seems there are 4 more. That shouldn't be too bad."
A reward for having faith in him. Miss Karstus, there's a decent chance she might be what some people call a whisper. She knew when that door was opened, and she was connected to it deeply.
Interesting.
When he says that, I just Slate just sort of raises his hands. 2.
Well, I had my suspicions of Narya. She's always been peculiar. My father and hers were partners at one point, but the Karstus were asked to leave the organization. Her father was found taking Leviathan blood for his own uses, and, well, frankly, you can't have an employee that steals from the company.
Might want to watch your back at those fancy parties. I hear she's one to frequent them.
Yes. Narya is something indeed. Thank you. She kind of gathers herself up and adjusts like the petticoats on her dress. She begins to exit, and the female of her bodyguards, the Whisper, goes, "I believe we need 1 candle."
I mean, I can't very well saunter, but Slate does the best he can in his condition to accommodate her request.
Okay. She walks out with the bag, and you see them all walk down the street and kind of disappear into this like low-lying fog that inhabits the city. That is it for this score.
Ooh.
I think when they disappear into the fog, I think Slate wants to turn to Ronan, look at him, and just say, "So you saying I should the gold mask suits me?" Because he never brought it up, you know.
I'm sure it'll suit something.
I could
You know,
draw.
I like to see you kind of try them out both on, maybe give it some time. We'll see which one kind of works for you as time goes on.
I could drill holes in it if you want.
Slate, you know that if you are given enough time, which means it's a long-term project, you could attune that mask to yourself and remove it from its previous owner.
Oh God. All right.
But
The
then-
owner will become innately aware that the mask is being removed from their control, though. So keep that in mind.
And it won't be leverage over her anymore.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say that's a pretty good ace for us to have up our sleeve. So
So
I'm perfectly
we've
content just holding it.
we've done we've started the payoff. I'm gonna go through the whole thing, and then next time we start, we'll do a downtime and get you guys into your next mission. So we said 12 coin. Let's see here. You guys are gaining 2 rep per score by default. And if the score is against someone with a higher tier, you're gaining an additional rep. The cult has a tier of 1, so you guys are getting 3 rep total.
Ooh.
Nice.
12 coin, and
Can we even fit that much coin?
you guys probably cannot.
We'll make
gotta-
it work.
I'm
We might have to do some shopping real quick.
gonna fill up.
Um,
I'm gonna,
You have it until the start of your next mission, essentially. You're going to have to, by the end of the downtime action, you're going to have to spend anything that you can't hold.
I see.
12 is divisible by 4, so I'm gonna put 3 in our remaining slots for the crew, and each of us can hold on to 3.
I can hold on to 2.
I've got a free slot. Just one of these things belongs to you by right then.
Yeah, you guys can manage your money however you want. Just keep in mind, if you put it in your stash, it takes 2 coin to get 1 out when it goes in your stash. But everything else is 1-for-1 exchange.
All right, but I can hold on to 2 regularly.
Yeah.
We can always spend it for some upgrades.
Exactly. You can spend the coin. When we do downtime, you guys will probably want to spend coin.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the payoff. Next we do heat. Let's see. After a conflict or score with an opponent, the crew takes heat. You gain +1 heat for a high-profile or well-connected target. Narya got away, so she's going to give you 1 heat. Orlin got away. He's going to give you 1 heat because they're both nobles. And they got to look at Simon at least. Narya may have witnessed Ronan, but you're not entirely certain. Okay, add 1 heat if the situation happened on hostile turf, which it didn't. Add 1 heat if you're at war, you're not. Add 2 heat if killing was involved, you guys did not kill. So you were at 2 heat, so on the crew sheet, there's going to be a heat track. You'll fill in 2 of those.
I got it.
Okay.
We got 3 rep and 2 heat.
To give you an idea, the mission, if I was to like condense it down, it would be contained standard exposure. I choose the base first, which I think you guys did smooth, quiet, low exposure. There's not a lot of people that were really aware of the situation other than the people that were supposed to be. Because this was a Spirit Warden operation, you have a good feeling that they're not going to go run their mouths about what you guys did. So that helps. So it's a total of 2. Entanglements. After the payoff, we get to roll equal to your wanted level, which is 0. And we read off the result according to, which will be according to the heat. So right now you guys have 2 heat. You have a wanted level of 0. So what we're going to do is roll 2 dice and keep the lowest. I don't think Fortune has that built in right now, so I'm just going to roll 2 dice on my own to determine if there's going to be an entanglement and what it is. To give you an idea, there's always an entanglement. It's basically how the game keeps revolving forward. This basically means that as long as you guys keep doing criminal activities, things are going to keep changing and becoming dynamic for you, and that's how this mechanic works. So, let's see. You guys don't have any cohorts right now, is that correct? No, you do not.
Oh.
Okay.
Do we want to keep this secret?
Yes, that's going to be my next question. I could keep it secret and roll the results, and you guys will find out naturally in the story when you would find out. Or I can tell you what I'm doing. For the first time that I do it, I can give you an example and then still keep my results secret, because this one gave me 2
Yeah.
choices.
I'll,
Okay.
I would
So-
like to at least hear an example, even if it's,
So
but
this
not
is-
knowing the actual result.
I was gonna say this is not what happened to you guys, but one of the things that could happen to you is like a show of force, which is a faction with whom you have negative status makes a play against your holdings. You either give them one claim or go to war with them. That's something that you guys would learn immediately, because somebody is like coming after your nonsense.
Jeez.
That's brutal.
If you have
That's
no
brutal.
claims, you lose 1 hold instead. That show of force, though, let's see. It shows up when you are on the Heat 4-5 scale and the Heat 6 scale. So it in the bracket you're in right now, you won't you
Not
don't
enough.
even risk it. Like, that's not a thing for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Awesome.
Okay, so a entanglement has happened, though, to give you an idea. Now we move into downtime. However, we are at our 3-hour mark. It's up to you guys if you want to continue. I'm okay with it tonight. If you do want to continue and do the downtimes right now, we can, but I want to take a break.
Yeah, I'm cool to continue, but if we do, I'd like to take a break.
Yeah, I'd like to continue just to kind of make up some of the ground on some of the time that we missed.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
No, I
No,
meant
I
like
think
the
he
weeks
means
that we
media
had
safe.
missed.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah,
we'll take
quick
a
break,
quick,
fine.
like, 3-minute break, and then we'll come right back.
Sweet. to take the lowest. So
Yeah, that is 2. All right,
I have
so
2
we are-
dice. That counts, right?
All right, so we are back. Yeah, just talking about fun combat capabilities of Ronan there.
Let's not fight things next time.
So I popped up on your guys' screen the reference sheet, rule sheet 2, which has the downtime actions. So going into this, you guys can see that and kind of decide what you want to do. You guys are moving into downtime. Downtime's kind of like how you recover from missions. It can be used to acquire assets, work on long-term projects, recover, reduce heat, train, or indulge vice. All those things you can do, but some of them do have some risks associated with them. So whatever you choose to do, we're going to take a moment, talk about what the rule is, and then execute it. And we'll do that for each downtime action for the first time we use it, at least. So you each get 2 because you're not at war. If you go to war, you only get 1. So if you want to do more than that, however, you can. You just got to spend a coin, which you guys are pretty flush with right now, so that's actually a good thing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does healing no longer automatically get rid of all of your level 1 harm?
It does not. You got to fill the clock, and then everything on the chart reduces down.
Okay.
I kind of miss the old way, too.
I need to recover.
Okay. So, yeah, let's start with Simon then, since Simon knows that she's going to end up recovering, at least.
So I guess just a real quick question. So just because I'm not super familiar with it, how much money can we carry just so we know how much we have to spend here?
So
Each of us.
inside
4.
your character sheet, you see how there's 4 boxes for where it says coin. You can hold up to
Oh.
4 on you, and your vault holds up to 4 right now. So
Okay, but
I think right now total you guys are at least 2 over, because I know that Nelson had 2 coins to begin with during this mission.
Yeah.
you used 1.
Well, I think he had 3 and then used 1 to
Oh.
bring him to 2. I know Simon had 0 in pocket. I don't know what Ronan had.
I never spent any, so I would have whatever I would start with.
Don't we start with 2?
2? Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I
So,
would go up to
At a
to
minimum,
4.
you guys are going to have to spend 4 coin, and you guys would all be loaded down with a whole bunch of money. However, you want to spend more, which, let me find it real quick here. I don't know if they changed it. I don't know. Lewis,
Yes.
do you know if they changed the rule that a coin counts as 1 item slot? Like having it on your person?
I didn't know about that rule to begin with.
That's how they keep you from, like, looting the hell out of other people. For now, I'm going to say that it probably exists, because I know that was a big thing. So you may want to consider vault upgrades and stuff like that in the future. But they mean for every coin past your 4. So, like, if you were to keep all your coins, those 4 coins that you have extra would be 4 item slots for each, for you guys spread out.
I see.
I say we spend.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm cool with just throwing that money around for now.
Okay. So, cut away to the strip club and making it rain. Simon, what do you do?
I recover.
All right. So, on a recover, that's getting treatment. You get to tick your healing clock like a long-term project. When you fill the clock, each harm is reduced by 1 level. So basically, there would be a fortune roll involved unless you're going to see a friend or ally that might be able to do the healing for you, and then we're going to use their tier.
That sounds like a fortune roll because I have an apothecary that hates me.
Okay. Ronan or Slate, do you have an ally that might be able to provide some healing that would be somebody that you'd recommend?
Who is Solia?
Salia?
Yeah.
She is a witch. She could definitely do some healing. I believe
She doesn't like me very much, so
Yeah, but Nyrix is actually possessing Salia's body.
Correct.
Oh, forgot about that.
I see.
So,
So
I'm cool with her.
you could go to Nyrix, which Salia has a problem with Ronan, not necessarily the group. So
Yeah, so I would just not. I
Ronan
would not
going
be
there-
involved on that trip.
I was
yeah.
gonna say Ronan going to Salia / Nyrix might be a problem, but Simon could go to Salia Nyrix. Or
I have
Nyrix.
no healing that I need to do, so I am perfectly content letting them do that.
I will go. I will go visit Salia and hope it's Nyrix.
Okay. Since Nyrix is an ally, Slate knows how to coax Nyrix to the front, and Nyrix comes forward. She kind of manipulates Salia's body, almost like, or not Salia, or yes, Salia.
Yes, Salia.
Kind of like a puppet almost, and she's able to bandage you up and start you on your healing clock. She is an informant, much like Ronan is, so she doesn't have like a whole lot of like super high clinical capabilities, but she has lots of things that can help you, like she's got herbs and poultices and things like that. She
Things to deal with burns.
What's that?
Things to deal with road rash and burns.
She actually rolled a crit, so she fills all 4 slots. So everything
Yay!
shifts down.
So she bandages me up,
Yep.
gives me some poultices, and my left arm isn't numb anymore.
Here's
Sends
a
you,
tincture for the pain.
sends you on your way with some aloe.
Thank you for the aloe vera, weird ghost lady.
Okay. Slate, what would you like to do?
I would like to try to compound my downtime actions.
Okay.
Being that like I go with Simon and coax out
Oh, by the way, mechanically speaking, because you were with Simon, Simon got a bonus die, so that's part of, or towards the healing roll.
okay. Because I would also like to heal,
Okay.
and all right, I'll tell you what the other one is afterwards.
Okay, so 2 spots on your chart will fill. If you want, you can use another downtime to do it again to fill up that pie chart.
Can coin increase that?
Coin can increase it by 1 slot.
What, the healing or the downtime?
The healing.
And we have an extra 4 apiece, right?
Yeah, we have to spend 4.
You have to spend 4 as a group,
Or total.
at least.
okay.
We each
I'll
have
say
individual 4, and then we have 4 overflow.
Yeah, I'll save that for another chance to see if I get more than 1. But for my second free downtime action, while I'm getting healing, my vice is actually an obligation to Nyrix.
Okay. Slate, I do want to clarify, your level 2 stays there. It's just you're filling in the clock. I'm looking at your sheet. It looks like you did it right. But until that clock fills up, it's still level 2. It will become level 1 when it goes down. Okay.
All right, that's cool. Like while she's working on me, I want to talk to her. Yeah, honey, how you doing? They've been treating you okay over here? With the skin suit you all right?
She kind of smiles as she's working. She says, "Yes. Salia fights occasionally, but things are fine."
All right, so I don't exactly know what I have to do to indulge in this vice.
What is your
mechanically?
vice? It's weird.
It's it's obligation, and the obligation is to Nyrix.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she says things are fine, but they could be better. She whispers a name to you. It's after she says it, you recognize the name. It's this guy that lives on the street that's been bothering her. She wants you to take care of the problem. He's been bothering Salia, which is causing problems for Nyrix. So how this works is when you want to indulge your vice, there is a button there that says Indulge Vice. You can click on that, and then it will ask you for bonus dice. You're going to get 1 because you're working with Nyrix directly.
Okay.
You could push yourself if you wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend it.
And that's it, right?
Correct. And then you submit it, and basically with that result you can narrate how you solve Nyrix's problem or don't.
Could I get a bone? I don't know. Because I want to give her a name of someone that she should probably, her and Salia should probably stay away from.
That could work as well.
Which is going to be Salsa Templeton.
Okay.
Keep as far away from her as possible.
The kind of clever thing that you are laughing to yourself about is she can keep Salia away from Seltha, but the knowledge that Seltha is who she is not Salia's knowledge. It's Nyrix's. So Salia will not be privy to the information that she's actually a spirit warden. Only Nyrix is.
Sweet. All right. So does that give me any bonuses, or just I really want?
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say that'll give you a bonus. It's a little unusual to get a bonus die, but I think in this circumstance, it's a powerful powerful bit of information you're giving. So.
All right. So I just click submit.
Yep.
And
that is a crit.
Okay.
So let's see here. You. I don't think there's any change when you critical on clearing stress. Let me just double check. Indulging vice, blah, blah, blah. You roll dice, lowest attribute, clear result if you... Okay. I'm going to say that critting on Indulging Vice, because there's nothing specifically written in there, means that you're not going to overindulge, even though normally you probably would. So you can take away 6 from your total.
I have 6, so I did never risk.
So then you never had a problem or worry about overindulging. Good. Okay. She takes the information and she goes, yes, that would be helpful. Curious, though. Wonder if more of the Templetons seem to be wrapped up in the Spirit Warden business.
Maybe could, maybe can't. That much I don't yet know.
Of course. Ronan.
You good?
What would you like to do for your downtimes?
All right. So I already know what both of them are. I just want to know. I just need to think if I want to spend how much money I want to spend past that on this downtime. So is it like each coin that you spend gives you another downtime worth of action?
Yes,
or
you can spend a coin to get an additional downtime action, or some downtime actions will allow you to spend coin to make them better. So like if you were rolling the recovery, if you spend a coin, you make the result better, or you could just spend a coin to get a whole nother roll. It's up to you.
Let's see. All right, so first thing, since I already know this one for sure, is I'm going to do when there's not really much additional coin that needs to be spent on this one, is indulging my vice.
Okay. You'll click on Indulge Vice. How are you going to do that?
So I'm going to say, actually, because my vice is pleasure in the form of trying to get my essays and books and things like that published, my philosophy texts. So I'm going to say that as he's reflecting on this last mission, on how his teammates failed him, He's actually going to, in his mind, is what he's going to say. That's his opinion, not mine.
Yep.
He writes up an essay about the importance of the individual and how you can only trust yourself to get things done, and basically that kind of thing.
I feel like his
which
first
may or may
prompt
not
is going to be cold.
probably, and basically just without much consideration of whether or not that's a popular opinion or what that might give away about how he might relate to things that might have happened recently, is going to submit it to wherever that would be submitted to attempt it to be published, basically.
Okay, yeah, Duskwall University actually handles a lot of the publishing within the city. So you go and you submit it to the publishing house on campus. Go ahead and submit with your Indulge Vice. There's going to be no bonus dice since you're not working with someone and you don't have a contact with you.
Yeah. So it's just one die.
When you hit Indulge Vice, it'll automatically find out what your roll should be.
Oh, 0. Perfect. That is a 3 and a 5. So what does that mean?
So you're going to take the 3 because you have a 0. The way that Indulging Vice, oh no, you did a fortune roll.
I clicked on. Oh, sorry, my bad. Disregard.
Yep.
Where is Indulge Vice?
It'll be next to where the vices are on your sheet.
There it is. Okay. Reveal this.
It'll
time.
be 1 die, probably.
3.
Okay.
Alrighty.
That was to indulge your vice. So with a 3, you're going to remove that from your total amount of stress. If it clears your stress and you have extra, let me know.
That brings me from 4 total to 1.
Perfect. If you go past it, you do what's called overindulging, and that means that you might get in trouble. Okay, what else would you like to do?
My other, kind of going back to our combat effectiveness conversation. I think I'm actually going to overreact here. I'm going to spend all 4 of my coin plus the 1 plus the 1 overflow that I'm counting from my share of the 4 overflow. I'm spending all 5 of that to train.
You can only train one thing once per downtime.
Only one thing. Okay, never
So
mind.
you
And
can train
I wasn't aware.
prowess once, insight once, and resolve once.
Can we buy more than 1 additional downtime action?
You can, but you can't use it for training. Now the good news is, if you train in prowess, you have prowess training as part of being shadows, so you're going to gain 2 experience instead of 1.
Okay, so I will use one of my downtime actions to train prowess then.
Okay.
So I'll get 2 points
2
in
experience
that.
inside prowess. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I also want to spend gold to train, but
Okay, so
100.
what does it look like when Ronan goes to train? Is he just buying like a box of ammo and shooting cans off a roof, or?
I would say that he, if you'll let me tie someone else in, I don't have any specific thing in mind, but basically like somebody that he went to school with that he knows was. Would Jaren be trained? Are all bluecoats trained in combat?
Yeah,
Even the archivists?
I mean, yeah, like even if you, it's kind of like in the real world. If you talk to a police archivist, he's gone through the police academy. He knows basically how to shoot a gun and how to conduct combat. He may not be the best at it, but he at least probably knows more than you.
Yeah, I'd say not necessarily. I mean, Jaren kind of knows what Ronan is into, but maybe not the whole thing. Kind of without giving too much information. It's just like, hey, I'll buy shooting lessons off you. Here's some money, and you teach me how to shoot this kind of thing.
Okay. So yeah, he goes over it with you, and it goes on for a couple days, and by the time it's over, you feel a little bit more comfortable with it. Slate, you said that you're also going to be doing some training, correct?
Yeah, I want to buy some additional downtime actions. Training being
okay.
At least one or two of them.
Okay, for now, Simon, you've got one more free one.
I would like to visit a man named Ojak who sells spirit junk and indulge my vice.
Okay.
Bandaged up, less hurt. Simon goes to this rooftop market and finds like a Rossi man named Ojak.
Yeah, and Ojak, I don't remember, did we describe him beyond Tycherosi?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he is a very enthusiastic man when he sees his favorite waster of money.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's kind of the classic like car salesman kind of feel to him. Like when he sells you stuff, he's like, "What about this bottle right here?" And like he does like weird body movements and stuff.
What is his Tycherosi
His
tell?
Tycherosi tell. I think he's got like kind of a fishy look to him. Like he's a little scaly. He's got like these gills that are kind of vestigial on his neck. But like the oddest thing is he has like fish eyes, like big round fish eyes in the front. They're just unwholesome to look at. But he wears like tiny glasses.
Ojak, what do you got for me?
Friend, yes. I've got plenty of baubles. What do you have in mind? And he kind of like shows you around his like spirit junk store. A lot of it is like stuff that is just like maybe has a connection, but maybe doesn't. You're not really sure, but there's a lot of it that looks good.
Do you have anything fish related?
Hey, come on, fish related?
No, not you related. Like sirens and then leviathans and all that.
He goes, let me see. There was a young man here earlier. Woman, yes. She dressed like you, Simon. Hard to tell. Bought a few baubles, but I have one more. And he pulls up this thing. It's like a glass orb with this fish skeleton inside of it, and the skeleton is actually like put together with springs so that when you move the orb, the skeleton moves. But I feel like Simon probably doesn't notice the springs because Simon's obsessed with the weird, and he thinks that like it's actually like doing it because of some magical means, but it's clearly mechanical for everybody else who looks at it.
We've got a deal. All right, and I roll Indulge Vice.
Mm-hmm.
The one.
Do I get a bonus die from Ojak? Is
Yes.
that how this works?
Yes, if he's your contact, then yes. Is he just your dealer, or is he a contact?
He's my vice purveyor.
Okay.
Should I reroll?
You will only have one die then. Go ahead and just re-roll it.
My bad.
Um,
No bonus dice.
but he may be someone that you can get information from, by the way, because of how he answered that question.
Okay.
With a 5, you can remove 5 stress. If you overindulge, let me know.
I cannot overindulge at the moment.
Okay.
I'm going to slide him just a coin that is not worth a coin yet. What do you mean by, and this is me paying for an additional action to, I think this would qualify as acquire asset for information.
Yeah, it's going to be an acquire asset.
Now, you mentioned a young lady buying all of the other things, and she's just playing with the orb. What can you tell me about her?
He goes, well, Simon, you know, my customers, their identities are the utmost privacy.
Second coin?
And like he sees your first coin and he kind of starts to hesitate. If you want, you could do your roll now and then determine if you want to give him another coin. But he's gonna give you the script first, which is I don't like rat on my customers. but you know that if you pay enough, eventually Fishman's going to give it up.
Is this sway?
It is up to you how you want to handle it. The most common way to do it, you could do it by swaying. If you want to do it like I'm paying you and bribing you, you could do that by consort too.
If it's acquire asset, at least on the rules sheet, it says roll the crew's tier. I don't know if that makes...
yes, it is. Sorry, I forgot. That one is tier based.
Oh,
so the tier is 0, so you may want to actually spend coin.
Yeah, I'll spend a coin.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I had in mind for Ogvi there.
So that's 2 coin out of the... That's 3 coin out of our excess now, I think.
Okay. Well, first we got to do the roll of 0 to get you a basic start.
Okay.
So 2 dice.
So it's the roll fortune?
Yeah, roll fortune.
0.
Okay, so you're starting with a 3, and then you spent 1 coin extra to bring it to standard. Do you want to spend another to get it to fine? You could also spend a third and get it to critical success exceptional.
If you guys are comfortable with me removing the rest of our excess to get
you technically could you guys could I just learned this now. You could technically bump beyond exceptional and reach higher qualities of tier, but it costs 2 coin to do so for each time you want to do that. Like, he could spill the beans and give you all sorts of information if you're willing to pay him.
I like information, but this is cutting into the group right now.
I'll go ahead and begrudgingly sign off on whatever you want to do, as long as it doesn't cut into my 4. Go for it. The excess is as far as I was planning, just going to be for whatever. So if we can get something sweet out of it, do it up.
All right. I'll wipe out the excess and get fine information. Fine meaning really good, not okay. That's a strange word.
All right, so the 6 result, essentially. So he goes, yes, a young female. Talker is her name. She comes around occasionally.
She's immediately interested because this is like the other her so far in her eyes.
And he kind of goes into details and talks about who this Talker woman is. The interesting part is he knows what Talker's real name is. It's Elena. He mentions that she was... I'm getting like static feedback from somebody. Mute yourself.
Is it me?
Maybe.
I think it's you, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So, her name is actually Elena Slane. She is the daughter of a dock worker. He talks about how she was looking for Leviathan art, objects and things like that, like you were. And he actually goes and describes her for you. That she's got kind of a mousy brown hair, softer features. She's perhaps what most Duskfall people, and this is his words, perhaps what most Duskfall citizens would consider attractive. And he mentions one thing that really catches you. He says, she said that she had an invite to a party over in White Crown, but I don't see how a woman like her could buy an invite. Not with how much she spends at my store.
Very interesting. I'll have to meet this young lady. Thank you so much. So much, Ojack. I hope the wife is doing well. And I'll see you again soon.
Yes, of course. Come back anytime. And he like starts like shoveling the money that you've just basically dropped on his desk into the back, and he, as soon as he's got it all bagged up, he closes down the shop for the night because he's made well more than money than he was expecting. And like as Simon goes down one roof, we see Ojak head down another. Okay. From now, since you guys did your free ones, it's up to you whenever you want to end doing downtime actions. You can stop them or continue them as much as you like. Or I pretty much say, hey, that's enough.
I want to do some training.
All right. So, Slate, you're going to do training. What are you training, and what does it look like?
I think it's like I want to do a little bit of... I want to train my resolve and prowess.
Okay.
Okay, and I want it to like look, it's part of like the whole same thing. Seeing as how he's still so injured, that he's digging deep even to this the ethereal level to force him to keep training like harder and harder, and pretty much like the Last Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got the glow, but only a little bit.
Okay.
And like instead of hitting like a heavy bag, it's like a sack of wax chips that are waiting to be melted down and recycled and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just like punching on them and elbowing them, and it gets to the point where he starts to lose his temper and actually pulls a dagger and just starts stabbing the hell like out of this bag and screaming, that's his training montage.
Okay.
I think
training vignette.
I think Piper's like sitting there working on something. He's like, "You're gonna have to sew that back up when you're done."
Yeah, there's like little
You'll get
chips
so
of
many
all
of
sorts
those.
of colored wax all over the floor.
Turning to Piper with the point of the dagger pointing in her direction. What? Were you talking to me? I don't know. I was a little busy with something.
Just make sure you fix what you break.
Goes, that. Yeah, okay. So I get 1 experience in resolve and 2 in prowess,
Correct.
and I spend 2 coin.
So I'm going to say that that's enough downtimes for now. We could do more downtimes when we play again next time, but I want to do experience, and then we'll cut out of here.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get over to experience stuffs. I don't know where I'm going. It's all on the sheets anyways. All right, so I will open up the crew. We'll start with crew, and then we'll do each of you individually. And you can ask the questions that are on your sheet. So looking at the crew, there's the crew advancement block. I'll click in the slashes for it this time. Let's see. You guys execute a successful espionage, sabotage, or theft operation, which you guys did. You get to mark 1 experience for that, or 2 if we think it occurred multiple times. I'm going to say that today is probably worth 2 experience because you were conducting espionage on a much grander scale than you guys originally anticipated yourselves being involved in. I think that's pretty fair. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bananas.
Okay. Contend with challenges above your current station. You did because you were working against a tier 1 group. You also are now kind of involved in whatever the heck the Spirit Wardens are doing in the city. So I would say that if you guys want to set this as kind of the precedent, that would be a 2 experience thing, or we could keep it at 1. Basically, when we decide these things, it kind of determines how we do it in the future, like what we would consider 2 experience.
I think
But,
the involvement of the Spirit Wardens might pop us up to 2.
Yeah, well, I think because like not only was the cult a higher tier than we were, but it also got us involved with the Spirit Wardens. So kind of like
Mm-hmm.
there were multiple much higher level groups than us involved in this.
Okay.
I think it's also because Spirit Wardens are Spirit Wardens, and I'm a fucking whisperer with a ghost for a friend.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty dangerous for you.
Yeah,
And
and
I stole the Spirit
and one of their masks. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. Let's look at your current reputation, which is ambitious. I think what you guys did was ambitious. It didn't really start as hugely ambitious, but now that you guys are more aware of the situation you're wrapped up in, you're continuing to play this game, which I think is pretty ambitious. So I'd say 2.
That the fact that we have the identity of a Spirit Warden
Yeah.
and her mask and are playing with that.
Yeah.
So this
We've
one
decided
is...
it's a good thing to do.
So the next one is definitely a question for the group. Do you think you guys express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew? And you guys can rate that as a 1 or 2 if you think so.
I think inner conflict is definitely here because Ronan abandoned us.
You mean accomplished the mission while you guys were messing up?
Look! You
I-
see
I
what
would
it
say
is?
inner
The mission
conflict.
is a small scale thing. You gotta broaden your vision. I'm over here collecting things for our future.
And I think drives is definitely there.
So are we thinking it's probably a 2? I think so personally.
That's
Because
what I
we-
was leaning towards. There was a lot that happened there. We covered a lot of ground.
Our drive is to collect information, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's
And we have
definitely
the
something-
identity of someone who's linked to a prominent business who we also now know is a Spirit Warden.
So
I'd say that
Collect
You
and
guys-
deal information.
you
We've done
guys
both
successfully
of them.
filled the experience track, by the way. So
Woo.
you will be able to pick out an upgrade for your crew. I would suggest you guys do that in chat so that we can say what we upgraded next time. For now,
Okay.
I'm going to leave it full. That way you guys are reminded about it and we can talk about it later. Next, let's go over to the characters. I'm going to start with Jeff's character, Ronan. When you go look at your character sheet, there's a part that talks about experience. And go ahead and read those out and we'll decide as a group what we think they are. What I think works best is if you read it, you can say, hey, I think I deserve 2 experience and this is why, and the rest of the group goes, okay, sure.
all right. So I'm not actually seeing the experience part. Am I just totally stupid?
It's at the bottom, like underneath all of your special abilities.
Yeah.
It'll say Mark XP, and there will be a little list of things.
I might not have enough.
Like for me, it says you addressed a challenge with technical skill or mayhem in there. It's 4 bullet points.
My sheet is not going that far down. I just under special abilities. I just don't see anything.
Um,
I'm looking at yours. It should be. It's right there.
it should scroll down.
It's next to your notes.
It's there. I see it as well.
And I'm scrolling as far as it'll let me scroll, and it's not
What is the last thing that you can see?
special abilities and where like the planning and load and roll fortune. That's like the very bottom of the page for me. Let me like close it out and reopen it and see if
Yeah,
something's
try
just-
that.
There it is. Yeah, my sheet was bugged there. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, so I addressed the challenge with calculation or conspiracy.
What do you guys think?
Let's see.
With calculation.
I guess where is the scope on this? Like, does the afterwards would like me like using the using
So
the
I would
letter
say
to like
that-
negotiate price with like
It's the
and use the
entire
information
session.
at the end.
I would say that
Okay.
everything from last session and this session would all be part of this area that we're examining. As far as what the scope of calculation and conspiracy goes, that's up to us to decide. It could be something as simple as you using your foresight ability, or it could be something else. I don't recommend using foresight as
Yeah, it
a
seems
thing
a
that
little-
determines the experience you get, because I think it's a little shady because there are
A
other
little
classes that
cheesy, yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah, it's a little cheesy.
As far as sort of what is it, calculation or conspiracy?
I mean,
I
I'd
think
say
that-
the. Oh, go ahead. I mean,
Yeah, you know, the maneuvering of gaining additional payoff via that letter, both in the scene where there was that big group, and then afterwards with toying with the idea, or letting her believe that we were toying with the idea of burning that letter,
That definitely.
was pretty. It's pretty calculative.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some examples of calculating your first interaction with Ruby. You were playing it to where you were trying to pull her defenses down so that you could get the information you needed, not only about her job, but about her as a person, which I think was more calculation towards what's going to happen in the future kind of things. So I think
You
I think
and
probably
prod
2 would
her.
be good.
2 for that one. I'm down with that. I expressed my beliefs, drives, heritage, or background.
Your
I guess beliefs. I would say that I would kind of openly expressing the dissatisfaction with my team's performance. I'd say probably would count towards beliefs.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be like full actions that you take. One of the things that I thought was interesting was when your character decided to go in the building and kind of abandon Simon on the roof. That was a proof of your belief, and not just you saying, "Hey, this is what I believe. This is what I'm publishing." So I think that that's a good example too. So what do you guys think? Is that worth 1 or 2?
that one
Uh,
specifically.
Expressing beliefs, backgrounds, heritage, that sort of thing. Do you think you did it worth 1 point or 2?
I guess also kind of bringing in like drives and things like that, like taking the risk to like try to negotiate a better deal with somebody who's part of the Spirit Wardens.
I think
it's
definitely
not
that.
necessarily
Yeah, I think after knowing she's actually a spirit warden,
to still
and-
kind of
yeah,
have the ambition to be like, no, we have the upper hand here, even though we're going up against the Spirit Wardens and some crazy cult.
You
That I'm
guys definitely
even
know
given
you're playing
that
a dangerous game.
even
Because
given that kind of
the outcome being a spider is going to be either you're going to end on a well relationship with the Spirit Wardens, or it's just going to go to hell.
yeah. I think kind of pushing that boundary anyways does kind of say something about his drive and his ambition, if that kind of thing counts too.
I'd call that too.
Okay. Yeah, there's really no wrong answer. I'm just posing questions to you guys, and you decide what its merit is, essentially.
And the last one, struggled with issues from your vice or traumas. I have no vices. Well, my vice I
Yeah.
didn't get, and I have no traumas, and I
Yeah,
didn't overindulge or get into any issues with that. So
I was going to
that
say, usually
would
this one
apply.
is more of a GM to answer the question, unless like the players
Yeah.
are obvious, like, oh no, Slate went really fucking crazy this time.
I mean, I
Um,
think it's a pretty obvious 0 for both of those. This one now.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a 0 for that, but that nets you a total of 4 towards your playbook advancement.
Yep.
And next up is Slate. Let's go down yours.
All right, so the first one on mine says you address the challenge with knowledge or arcane power. I think I did that quite a bit
Yeah,
in that fight.
You
Yeah.
had a fair bit of arcaning going on there, so I think that's a pretty easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I have more to say about that when we get to the next question. But I think 2 would probably be fair. You really did attempt to use arcane as your main way to solve issues.
Yeah, tons of attunement and like using that to find the beast and also to find the mask and attune the mask and like
Find out
basically.
who it is.
Yeah.
Find the beast. Attempted to sever the connections of the beasts, and then the thing with the mask. Find
Yeah.
out, is this person here? No. Well, who is she?
Yeah. So
You know.
I think that's a pretty easy 2, at least
Okay.
in my opinion.
And then express drives, beliefs, and heritage. What do you guys think? I can think of at least one time that I think was kind of an interesting choice was Slate knowing his limitations and pushing himself to knowing that he's going to probably knock himself out to just cut the connection so you guys can move in quietly. It failed, but I think it says something that he tried.
He's a surprisingly dedicated ally.
Yeah. Unlike some people in the group, me.
You're the slippery spider.
Yeah.
Anybody else think of something, or do we think that says enough about his character to garner 2?
I mean, I guess just some other thing that at least kind of jumped to mind to me is how often there were multiple times where he jumped in to be the distraction, despite it bringing danger to him, like talking to the bodyguard chick in the first
Yeah. Just-
bar, and then the guy tries to punch him,
This goes.
and then
They're their guards. Yeah. Let me just pull up a seat. God.
Yeah.
he's
know,
very
provokes
he's
the
very
guard and
teamwork
gets-
focused for
gets punched.
yeah. I was
And
He
also, like,
Proliferate.
the fact that he would knee the paralyzed guy in the face to also buy us some more time, despite the fact that he's in a room full of cops. Like, the fact that he's willing to throw himself out there for the team and take like 1 billion more stress and trauma than everybody else did by doing so. I think that says a lot too. In addition
Also-
to the cutting himself off and then knocking himself out.
I also noticed he proliferated some information that's going to be dangerous to him, that other people know it, in order to protect Nyrix.
Mhm.
Yeah, the fact that he gave him, it, the,
Them.
whatever the spirit is, the knowledge of Seltha's identity, despite the fact that could very easily, basically bring about our complete destruction.
Mhm.
To fulfill his obligation, like, yeah, he'll throw himself under the bus all day for the team
Okay.
or for his friends. So I think that says a lot too.
So I think that's a total of 4 right now. So the last one is struggle with vices or trauma. It is not something that it had a immediate problem, but I will say from a GM standpoint, when Slate need the hostage or the not the hostage, the prisoner in the face, that will have consequences later on. So I think that's at least worth 1.
Seems fair.
Fair point.
So that's a total of 5 then, right?
Yeah. One that I did not think about at first until you guys mentioned it was revealing Seltha's identity to Nyrix. I think should also garner 1 because that's you're dealing with an ancient ghost and that could go real bad for you.
All right.
Okay,
So that's 6.
Okay.
there we go.
Big.
So Simon, you're next.
Yay. Did I address a challenge with technical skill or mayhem?
Well, you pulled a live grenade in front of a
I
crowded room.
pulled a
so-
live shade.
I was gonna say,
I'm
I
gonna-
believe we used the term surgical for gluing a or garbage gorilla
Yeah.
to the roof.
Yeah. I'd say there was plenty of technical skill, and mayhem both involved. So
Okay. So 2 for that. Express your heritage beliefs and drives.
feel like we saw more of the crowd that Simon moves around in, and is very obsessed with our little friend Talker.
Mm-hmm.
You did throw down like
I think
5
there's-
coin or something to
I was gonna
find
say,
out
I
their
think there's
identity.
like this
so.
weird relationship with Talker because they're so similar. It's another female that is definitely a leech, that has similar obsessions. They have similar ways of dress that Ogvi pointed out. There's like this weird fascination that Simon has with it. Not necessarily like I have to track him down because I got to finish my mission. It's more of a curiosity thing, which I think
Simon's
speaks
not sure.
volumes.
Simon's not sure if she's going to kill her or become her best friend yet.
Probably
Positive
be one of those
context.
two, though.
Possibly both.
All right. Yeah, I would say
Let's
that.
make a haul for her.
So are we thinking 1 or 2 for Simon for that? I was just pointing out I thought it was an interesting relationship that's kind of developing.
Yeah. Well, I think
Well,
in
it's a
addition to
one-sided
that,
relationship.
We'll fix that. We'll fix that soon.
Yeah.
We also know
I-
where she is.
Yeah.
She's in Orlin Hellis's party. Which is, okay, that's the other thing. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up, which is she writes down everything and records everything. I have detailed notes on every NPC we've met.
I'm gonna have a hard time hiding things from Simon, aren't I? That's usually the
But-
downfalls of parties and games. They don't pay attention to me when I'm giving them hints.
I'm specifically playing someone who is obsessive compulsive about remembering everything. The first thing
Yeah.
I built was a recording device.
Yeah, I guess it does also kind of show that, like,
I
the
would
fact
argue
that you
so, too.
recorded the entire mission from like the moment we were like getting ready to jump onto the roof to like the very end when we're
Yeah,
like
this could
talking
be-
to the spirit wardens. Like the entire thing was recorded, us getting our butts kicked and all.
Okay.
I'd say that shows something a little bit about the motivation there.
So I'd say that's 2. Struggling with vices or traumas. You threw down some serious coin. That may have a problem with the rest of the group eventually when they figure out that you just spent so much money on finding that information. I would say that that's at least worth 1.
Fair. I'm good with that.
Yeah. What? You
Okay.
what? For who?
Hey,
They
like,
ain't
hey,
even no
what-
problem anymore. Yeah.
where's where all our extra money go? I thought we had like a bunch of extra money.
It's 3 coin.
That is like
Which is a
3
lot of
months
money.
worth of living.
It's a lot of money.
I was going to say, keep in mind, a coin is an abstract amount that is roughly 1 suitcase of money.
I gave away. Oh god, I gave away one of the statues.
Yeah, you basically paid him
Yeah.
a full statue's worth of coin.
All right, so that is going to be it for tonight's session. We will meet again in 2 weeks and see where we go with the information. If we want to continue our hunt for Selthie's targets and try and get some more money out of a desperate spirit warden, now that you know that. Or if you guys want to use that information to create your own score. I guess we'll find out next time. As always, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you at the gaming table.